Welcome back, everybody. Phoenix Cup Group D here, the final group that will decide the rest of the top 8 for the next stage of the tournament. I'm going to take over a little bit for our friend Wicked Good. My name is Cinder Ascendant, and I'm joined by returning caster, my friend and captain, Rebobson. What's up, man?
Hey, man. Welcome on board. How are you today?
I am fantastic. It's a little sweaty here in the south, but we're doing all right. So
Beautiful.
we are looking forward to this match that's coming up. This is going to be the under bracket match between Lucre and Zenos, and this is going to be an interesting matchup, Bob. What are the matchups? How do these decks match up against one another?
Yeah, so we've of course seen both these players on stream previously. They've both played once before already. Zamos, of course, has his Q block, which has been banned out, and he's also got Shudderwock Shaman, Malygos Druid, and Xerix Cloning Gallery Priest, actually featuring the titular card. And against Luca, who has a Quest Rogue, which has unsurprisingly been banned, an Even Paladin, which we've yet to see, and I'm very excited to see that one, a Taunt Druid, and a Cloning Gallery Priest of his own. So, of course, the priests cancel each other out. Luca is ahead on the Druid, and then there's the Even Paladin and the Shudderwock Shaman as the kind of question marks, shall we say. The Even Paladin, it does, I think, very well against Druids in general. I can't really attest to what Even Paladin versus Cloning Gallery Priest is like as a matchup. I don't think anyone has ever played that in the history of Hearthstone. So we're gonna break new ground here on this stream, and it does also do quite well against Shudderwock Shaman. While the Shudderwock Shaman from Zamos, it's looking a little dicey. It's got a pretty good matchup against Lucas Taunt Druid, but against the Email and the Cloning Gallery Priest, it does suffer. But of course, its worst matchup by quite a long stretch has been banned out in the Quest Rogue. So overall, I'd give Luca a slight edge in terms of the lineups after the ban stage, but of course, anything can happen. We've seen multiple unfavorables get won. We've seen multiple favorables get lost. And more than anything, we've seen this Cloning Gallery Priest just falter a lot so far.
It's one of those decks that can just high roll the heck out of a game, though, and I think that has to be the inclusion, along with trying to play against some of the more passive decks that are in the meta. But I am super interested, Rebob, in seeing this Even Paladin. It's highly experimental. There's very, very little of it in the meta, but some of the builds have some very promising numbers, don't they?
Yep. I mean, myself and yourself are playing Even Paladin a decent amount recently. So I'm interested to see how it goes. There are a couple cards in build of Even Paladin which are a little bit lower impact than some other ones. He does run things like a double Hydrologist. Hydrologist is just, I think it's a terrible card. Like even in Murloc decks back in the day, you were generally quite sad to even be including Hydrologist, despite the fact that, and it's just kind of one of those cards that gets chucked in there. Also, Cinder, we're going to get to see Argent Protector get played.
That is a card and a half.
Yeah,
you don't see that very often.
Well, often with cards from is it a basic card or is it a classic card?
I don't know for sure, but it is definitely in that first set.
Yeah, it's one of those cards that you get very early on. Oh, this is all right, and then just never look at again. It is in the classic set. I've just gone and checked for you.
Oh, thank you.
And there is the Glass Knight, a card which never really took off.
Yeah, I mean, it does have some potential, just because there's a number of lifesteal effects that have been added recently, so that bubble can recur. But we're going to head into the match right now. This, again, is the elimination match between Lucre and Zamos. So we'll jump right into the match. In short order.
We have turned our curse.
And we've got straight into the Even Paladin. Fantastic.
Excellent.
Up against the Malygos Druid for Zamos. Like I said, this is, I think, a pretty good matchup for the Paladin. This is one matchup where the card that I really like including, the Wind Fury Harpy, is really powerful because Corpse Takers with Wind Fury just absolutely decimate druids. Zamos, his hand's looking pretty good.
Yeah, this is a pretty decent hand here. We have Drenching Pass is very welcome to stave off some of the early offense and or draw some cards, but of course, Twig of the World Tree, Nourish into UI. That's all the rampant card draw that Druid needs, except for that Wild Growth in the beginning. But Lucre, not seeing that Wild Growth on 2, he's going to try and put some pressure down here, but also respect the possibility of that Spreading Plague.
Did you see, Cinder, how close Luke was to snap playing that Acidic Swamp Ooze until he remembered what deck he was playing against?
That's right. Open deck list, my friend. You gotta make sure you know which one you're playing against. But yeah, do not throw away your Ooze when there's a Twig involved. Yeah, Twig, of course, very important in the plan for this Malygos Druid in order to duplicate the Malygos and be able to also cast all of its spells. So yeah, needs that extra 10 mana for sure. Good catch, Lucre.
Yep, well not played there.
Well not played.
I imagine Zamos is probably going to be looking to just maybe even coin out the Twig. He's got Swipe or Branching Paths to follow up. There'll be a Nourish to result that, but it looks like he's actually going to hold on to Coin Nourish on the following turn. But Lucre's Corpse Taker, I can't see anything else coming down.
No, Zamos not really under a lot of pressure here. He can afford to wait and try and hold some of these resources for a better turn. Corpse Taker, though, this can get out of hand quickly if Lucre follows this up with a Blessing of Kings or something similar. So Zamos is going to have to consider how he's going to answer this Corpse Taker and whether or not that can play into his Nourish plan this turn.
Yeah, I mean, as a Druid, you really want to be doing Druid things, gaining humanly possible. It's just a case of how much does he really care about this Corpse Taker? Because if there is a Blessing of Kings, then it will hit him. But how fast will he really be when you have such powerful things to follow up?
Nourish giving Zamos the 2 extra mana and allowing him to play out that Arcane Tyrant gives him a little bit of pressure on the board to counter the pressure Lucre's already mounted, but Corpse Taker not currently handled. So Lucre's going to put down that Blessing, as we talked about, 7 damage coming in just from the 1 minion. This is going to set Zamos down to 11, and now he's suddenly under a ton of pressure.
Yes, he is indeed. But between the Arcane as well as this Swipe, Zamos is going to be able to pretty much just clear up the board in its entirety and say, okay, your turn. What are you going to do now? Because if the board is clear for this Spikeridge Steed in Lucre's hand, remember that card, Cinder?
I do remember that card, and it's actually still a good card.
Just remember when it used to be absolutely everywhere.
I do that. I think part of what contributed to the fall of the Steed was the rise of like these mid-rangey decks that have kind of come after Boomsday. It's not as easy to hold off stuff when you Boommancer and get 2 huge minions on board and just power through those taunts. But as you described, Rebob, Zamos has cleared the board. Lucre is back to developing from square zero. Crystal Smith's Kangor going to come down. Not going to be doing much in this matchup, but it will at least pop him back up to 30.
Yes, that's what Lucre was really concerned about, I'm sure.
Yeah, I think it was the 3 damage going to face from the Chillblade Champion that Lucre's most concerned about. Zamos now once again considering how he is going to deal with this board pressure and try to get to that turn 10 Ultimate Infestation.
Yeah, Zamos does have this Branching Paths, which is 12 whenever he wants. Literally dead. But looks like he's just going to try and develop this Twig as soon as possible, because that Twig's been sitting in his hand for a while, and you really want to get that going ASAP.
Yeah, it's usually like a turn 4 or 5 consideration, but Lucre's done a good job of just continuing to mount pressure and forcing Zamos to answer the board rather than get that Twig going. He's finally in a position where he can do it with the armor from the branching paths, but there's plenty of threats to go still in the top end of this even paladin deck.
Yep, looking at our Lich King, and then like there's also the consideration that just Druid's best tools are very vulnerable to a lot of things in this deck. There's a Quality Consecrate is probably the best answer game to a Spreading Plague, or there's just a Mossy Horror on top of that. There are so many ways that Luca can just bust his way through Zamos' entire development. Speaking of the devil, Zamos gets the Spreading Plague into his hand. He's got a Tyrant to couple alongside that, but right now all he's going to want to be doing is being able to play this Ultimate Infestation on the next turn and not be dead.
Right, and all it takes here is those 2 taunts and a little bit of help from the Spellstone to clear half of that Stegodon. And Zamos has emptied the hand and has prepped himself to be able to play Ultimate Infestation next turn. Twig down to 3 charges now, a little bit closer to approaching the combo. But Lich King going to come into play and play havoc with Zamos' plans for turn 10.
That's a Frostmourne. Frostmourne is a pretty good card in the I hear.
Even without the effect, Rebob, it is still 15 damage for 7 mana. And that's a lot of pressure.
Yeah, and it's going to eat up the entire Ultimate Infestation damage as well as this. Take another 2 just to try and get this Twig off. Well, Luca has this ooze just the entire way through. But
so Luca now probably thanking his lucky stars that he held on that ooze early on, because this is about the time where you want to start considering breaking that Twig to ruin that 20 mana combo that this deck needs to OTK you later on in the game. But of course, we can see from our end, Zamos still does not have the combo pieces in hand. He's still working with lots and lots of defense.
Yeah, I mean, he's got Floop and 2 Moonfires. He's just missing Malygos. As soon as Zamos draws Malygos, I think it's very hand. But until then, it's just kind of not much. He does have double Ferocious Howl to try and draw towards Malygos, because one thing Malygos Druid is not lacking for card draw. Luca's just going to take this very nice mana-aligned turn of Frostmourne and Acidic Swamp Ooze, steal himself a Taunt, get rid of the Twig, and say go. Zamos, though, gets Malfurion the Pestilent. And that's a good card.
Definitely not something that he regrets drawing off the top there. Zamos is more than happy to stall the game a little bit more with the armor gain and extra taunts coming in from Malfurion the Pestilent. Is there ever a position, Rebob, where you take the spiders in this position, or is it taunts every time?
I think it's just got to be taunts. You're very scared of things hitting you in the face, and taunts are good at stopping that. I think Zamos can make a pretty good read that Quality has not been in the hand at any point. Just a lot of weapons. As we can see from Luca's hand, a whole lot of weapons. Mossy Horror get to come down though without killing any of Luca's own board. And just like that, Luca's back on the board again.
Mossy Horror, the Mossy Boy, taking care of those scarabs with ease. Frostmourne as well, clearing off the Plague Zombie. That's going to come back as soon as Luca breaks that weapon to refill Luca's board without having to expend any cards. And it's going to continue to try to pressure Zamos before Zamos can draw that Malygos that he needs to finish off this game.
Yeah, and like I say, Luca has not drawn into the most important card in this matchup, which is the Equality, but he's getting closer.
Well.
But Zamos just gets the Malygos, and he's going to be looking at how he gets lethal. Oh, by the way, Zamos is now on 33 health. When did that happen?
Between a couple of branching paths, Malfurion, and 2 Ferocious Howls, that's a lot of armor. Garrosh, eat your heart out.
Poor Garrosh. He just doesn't know what to do anymore.
No, and I think, if I'm not mistaken, this might be... It would require a 2-turn setup, but if Zamos lives 2 more turns, he can set up Malygos, and then the following turn, unleash all this damage for lethal, but he's got to live through this next turn. And I think Lucre is a single point off of damage just on the board, plus whatever he can assemble from his hand.
Yep, so this may just have to be a turn. And Wild Growth to draw a card, then Spreading Plague and Armor Up, but that still just doesn't advance him towards his actual win condition.
Or if you're Zamos, do you just play the Malygos and hope that Lucre doesn't have that extra point of damage hiding in the hand?
I think you've got to assume that there is some damage. There's double Consecration, there's double True Silver Champion, there's I think there's Valnir as well. There's Sunkeeper Tarim would be extra damage. There's a lot of damage is what I'm saying. There's even a copy of Avenge. I think that amounts to about half of Lucre's remaining deck would kill him. I don't think Zamos is in such a bad position that he needs to do. So, this is actually
Naturalize. Okay, yeah. Plus the Malygos, this will give possibly that means that Lucre has to come up with 7 more damage, and he's going to go ahead and throw out the Moonfire, one of those Moonfires for removal, and try to win this partially through minion pressure with Malygos.
Yeah, so if through doing this, assuming that the Malygos gets dealt with, which as we can see, can't actually happen, which is interesting. I wonder if Lucre is... Do you remember, Cinder, the good old play against Ice Block Mages of Hydrologist into Eye for an Eye?
Of course.
And there it is, but he can't play it.
Yeah. No, yeah, you need 1 more mana to pull that off. But yeah, that is a possibility because, Malygos...
This is a lot of damage, Cinder.
Oh my goodness. That's 14 plus 11 is 25 if I pass 3rd grade. And that's going to allow Zamos to steal this one away from Lucre. Game 1 going to the Malygos Druid.
Could have gone for that Eye for an Eye.
Hey, you never know. I mean, how much more pressure did Lucre really need? Was the Tyrion absolutely necessary, or could he have tried to pull the shenanigans with Eye for an Eye?
I think...
Did we lose Rebop? It sounds like there might be some technical difficulties coming from Rubobson's side, so we apologize for that. We'll let him sort that out. Hopefully, it's just a minor technical bug. But Zamos there we see takes the series lead 1-0. The winner of this match is going to stay in and face the loser of the upper bracket match, the final match up there, and the loser's gonna be done. That's gonna be it. Heading into game 2, Lucre gonna try again on the Paladin. Zamos queuing up that Resurrect Priest. So far, Zamos has shown that comboing out this Paladin is possible. So he's gonna try it again. This time with Malygos, Prophet Velen, and Mind Blast. And the opening hand for Zamos, not bad. Shadow Essence, definitely something you want to see early on to try to cheat out one of these spell power minions. And then, of course, the Eternal Servitude is absolutely necessary to enact that combo. But, of course, he also needs the Mind Blast. But he's got time. Paladin deck not putting out a ton of pressure early on. No weapons in the Priest deck, so Ooze is going to come right on out. And looks like my casting partner has fallen offline. I think his computer crashed, if I had to guess. So I think we're going to get producer Bemi's going to jump on in and come in live. So Bemi, just give me a shout when your mic is hot.
Must consider.
All right, and Zemos considering his options here. Not a lot of pressure, but how does he want to proceed into trying to dig for his combo pieces to get this going? Coin Radiant Elemental into the Shadow Word Pain to relieve a little bit of the pressure and make sure that the Elemental can survive, or at least has the highest chances to survive. on board to fuel that Shadow Vision's mana reduction for the next turn. And Lucre just playing out Crystal Smith Kangor. That's not a lot of pressure, so Zamos got it rewarded for his risk. First Mind Blast coming into the hand for Zamos. And I tell you, this isn't always ideal for this Priest, because sometimes you want both of those Mind Blasts to stay in the deck because you want the Shadow Visions to be able to pull them out.
Hey.
All right, Bims, welcome to the cast, my friend. Sorry to see Rebob go, but the show must go on. And so far, Zemos getting a decent head of steam with his board. However, the Radiant Elemental did not live for the Shadow Visions, and Lucre finally getting a Corpse Ticker online. A little bit of significant pressure on turn 4.
A little bit of significant pressure. The Shadow Vision's going to come in. Ooh, I would say maybe the lesser diamond. I don't know why you would need 2 clonings.
Yeah, well, there's always the possibility that you never draw it, right? So sometimes you just gotta take it if you want to make sure, you want to guarantee that the combo goes off. That's exactly what Zemos is thinking.
Or just play Phenom's deck.
Or just crib someone else's in the tournament. And I think Zemos also is considering the fact that he has Mind Blast and Holy Smite in hand. So if all he needs is to get some of that spell power duplication going, and he'll be ready to go. Lucre, just a hero power here, not a terribly powerful turn.
Yeah, but he's getting the board sort of built up, and sometimes Priest can't really deal with an overwhelming board. They're really just their biggest reliance is Psychic Scream. So at the moment, there's so many high-cost spells and just cards in general in Zamos decks that I think really just the tempo that Lucre has for Even Paladin is just going to be a lot more favorable unless they go out like a taunt. Like a 5/5. Right. Oh, that could work.
Like an Obsidian Statue.
Yeah, I was about to say like Lich King, but you know that's a taunt there as well that could clear some of the board.
Yeah, as it stands, this 5/5 statue would actually clear the entire board and get Zemos back up to full. And it lands in the resurrection pool, so Eternal Servitude can bring it back. But Zemos he really wanted either Malygos or Prophet Velen there. But this will do. This will stall the game significantly while he digs for the rest of his combo pieces.
I guess for a little bit. Hey, Rebob, I would just say probably maybe the weapon is maybe a viable option if you just want to keep that board presence, but I'm going to go ahead and let Rebob take back his caster chair. I'm going to get up and leave.
Hello.
Thanks,
sorry about that. A fuse went in my house, taking the router with it, so I was briefly offline for a second there.
Well,
very confusing.
The power of Rivendor was just too much for
my house.
Your house. And Zemos' earlier risk in taking Xeric's Cloning Gallery from that Shadow Visions looks to have not paid off a little bit as he just top-decked it 2 turns later. But the Eternal Servitude bringing back that Obsidian Statue, that's a heck of a minion to see on turns 5 and 6.
Certainly looks like it. Zemos has got a lot of potential in this hand. The Xeric's Cloning Gallery, if it pulls something like a Radiant Elemental, as well as Lyra, Velen, Malygos, etc. This Holy Smite and Mind Blast gonna do quite a lot. On Lucre's side, he doesn't really know what to do with this Obsidian Statue, does he?
Yeah, I mean, you're only sitting with 7 on board, and any way that you can buff up the Corpse Taker to maybe try and power through it, you just kill it, thanks to the Obsidian Statue's Death Rattle effect. So you basically just give Zemos a 2-for-1, but all the same, you can't just sit there and let it hit you in the face turn after turn. So Lucre has to come up with a way to deal with this, and looks like Valinir is going to be part of the plan. And
Valinir does hit the Mossy Horror, probably not the target that Lucre was really looking for. It goes from a 6-mana 2/7 to a 6-mana 6/9, which it's okay. It's not even the most impressive thing in the world.
No, and the Spikeridge Steed gonna allow the Corpse Taker to live, and he's hoping that. Yes,
and it does.
Death Rattle hits the dude.
Goodbye, Valinir. This Psychic
Oh,
Scream
no.
is going to remove Valnir from. Oh wait, no, sorry, not Valnir.
No.
Spike Steed. That's gonna.
Yes.
But that is gonna come down. That Psychic Scream, I imagine, as soon as the Valnir minion hits the board. So
Yeah.
that infinite value train from Luca is just not going to be able to do very much. And Zamos has his copy of Shadow Word there, primed and ready and waiting for this Lich King. And the anti-magic shell, pretty good one though.
Oh yeah, that's a great minion. In a lot of instances, it'll lock out all the shadow words. Though Psychic Scream doesn't care about all that. So Luker adding
Yep.
some board pressure, kind of telling Zamos, you need to have that Scream ready to go, or this clock is going to tick down. But Zamos going with the Leer of the Sun Shard, trying to get some extra spells going, extra arms.
Extra spells, extra arms. Because he doesn't need more arms. I ask you that.
I can't think of a situation where you don't want more arms. It seems like, I mean, we have I know you're on the other side of the pond, but we have a right in this country to more arms. I'm sorry, that's the fair arm. Anyway, so yeah, the anti-magic shell is basically going to force Zamos' hands with this Psychic Scream, I imagine, because he doesn't want to get hit in the face for 16 damage with no way to answer it.
I imagine he does not. Was the obsidian statue, I imagine that came from a Shadow Essence?
Yes, it did.
Okay, so it's still in the deck, so Zeric's Cloning Gallery is going to pull the Obsidian statue, a 1/1 copy of it, when it does come up. But Psychic Scream does nullify the effects of the anti-magic shell. So Luca probably here, just going to go right away with this big old mossy horror. Check out an acidic swamp who's aside it, and there you go.
Yeah, and I have to think
Aww.
that... Oof. Wow. So yeah, top deck that statue.
And that's lethal.
Oh no.
And that's just lethal.
This deck, Rebob. I tell you, if you can stall long enough to hit that Xerix, and you have a couple of spells in hand, game's just done. So Zamos now up 2-0, and I think we've killed Rebob.
Yeah, I'm still not quite accustomed to casting this deck in particular. Just like, oh, the game's just going on as normal. Okay, they're dead. Let's move on then to Even Paladin up against Zamos' Shadowwalk Shaman, with Zamos 2-1 up, having already won with the Malagos Druid and the Clothing Gallery Priest, both against the Even Paladin. See if this could be a clean sweep against the Paladin.
There may be wisdom somewhere in Hearthstone that you never go full combo, but Zemos is not listening. Shudderwock gonna try and get a third win straight against Luker's Even Paladin. And I'll tell you what, like, Luker has not really been able to accelerate the board pressure, the board tension enough to stop these combo decks from drawing into their combos. So why does he continue to queue it into these combo decks when he can switch off to another deck?
And he's got to win with this Paladin at some point if he wants to make it out of this elimination match, Cinder. So, you know, keep trying, and maybe it'll happen at some point. Probably won't, but maybe.
Yeah, so far, again, not a ton of pressure being developed by Luker. In fact, this Stoneclaw Totem going to allow the Manatide Totem to survive unless Luker can find a way through it. And Shieldblade Champion is one way to do it.
He's able to clean it up for this turn, but like you say, this is not the most threatening of boards. Of course, the Blessing of Kings of the following turn is going to allow a lot more to be dealt with, but Zamos is going to follow that straight away with a Volcano.
Whoa.
Gets the Grumble from the
Grumble.
Frost. 3 mana 7/7, Cinder. The meme has been taken one step further.
Yeah, well, it's been so long. Flame Wreath Faceless. See, sometimes I lock things away in the vault and they stay put. So Blessing of Kings deployed by Luker to create some board tension now, and Zamos can pair a Silence from the Earth Shock and clear this board if he wants to, and he certainly has some power going into turn 6 afterwards.
Yeah, he could just play a Volcano hit. there is a thought that something like Earthshock is going to be really powerful against, say, Spike Ridge Steed. Say there is a 1-mana hero power with a 6-mana Spike Ridge Steed on turn 7. That is nullified and complete board clear by a 1-mana card. That's pretty funny.
So the Volcano might, in fact, be the more attractive of the two options. And then Grumble, the turn after, 3-mana 7/7 seems good. But Zemo's considering.
Yep, I'm just going to go for the Volcano. I think it's the safest play, and often in like these, again, in these aggressive matchups, something like a Shadowwalk Shaman, I think the best play is often just to aggressively clear. If the game goes long enough, you win, especially as you're playing against a deck which has no card draw.
Right, and so the Divine Shield actually is pretty important in the consideration. Now that one Volcano is gone, that leaves 2 Lightning Storms, so it's going to take 2 hits of any particular thing to punch through and clear that minion. So this might give Lucre the ability to have a platform to start buffing this minion with, perhaps a Spike Ridge Steed, another Blessing of Kings, something like that. So that Earthshock being held by Zemos was a pretty important decision there in turn 5.
Yep, and now Zemos he's got to think about what he wants to do this turn, but also with respect to what he wants to do on following turns. Like he has the really powerful Electra into Lightning Storm. He of course has this Grumble. He's got a lot of potential options, and he doesn't know what the secret is. There's a good chance that if he does something here, Luke is going to just be able to deal with it pretty easily, or even pull a minion back. And Luca is just going to go for the Spike Ridge Steed, and this Earthshock Cinder is going to do great things.
Yeah, and if Zemos were in a position to also have spell power, it could be a clean clear with that Earthshock. Zemos may not know what that secret is, but if he knew what it was, it wouldn't be a secret, Rebob. It would just be a card.
I think that's the wisest thing you've ever said, Cinder.
Oh man, well if that's the case, then I feel good about my life already. So Zemos has got options here. Farsight could draw into yet another mana-reduced part of the sequence of minions that have to be played for Shadowwalk power-up. Just a Grumble, maybe behind
Good Zola Grumble.
Good Zola Grumble. Zemos definitely has options here.
Yeah, there's the Electra Farsight if he feels like he wants to dig for something more, like maybe a Healing Rain. His health is getting a little bit low. He's going to be pretty aware from that. He wants to find cards like Hex, Healing Rain, or Saronite Chaingang even to advance his combo, as he's already got Grumble, Zola, Shadowwalk, and Life Drinker in the hand. All he's really looking for is... he's actually going for the Electra Earthshock. This is going to kill off the 2/2, but the Redemption in play is going to resummon it as a 2/1.
Well, much better than a 4/8, I would think. And
I'd say
he's going to Zola the Electra. No, he's going to not Zola, but Grumble the Electra. So that's some nice resource management there by Zemos, because Electra's effect is so unbelievably powerful when paired with something like a board clear like that Lightning Storm. And this allows Zemos to progress the Shadowwalk combo. So pretty good turn, I think, for Zemos.
Yep, but Sunky Batarum Cinder is a pretty powerful card. It's going to allow Luca to just push a considerable heap of damage face and just threaten lethal in the following turn. Kalaseth comes off the top of Zemos, but it's not going to do a great deal in this position. This looks like a pretty good Electra Lightning Storm to me.
Oh, I would have to agree with you there. I don't see any other way for Zemos to survive without a Healing Rain has not come into hand, so no way to heal. The Life Drinker is only worth 3 healing, and this doesn't make him feel terribly safe, I would imagine. So Electra Lightning Storm is the call.
Yeah, gets it, but had to be safe there rather than kind of take the risk. This was a risk play with no risk, which could have, like, if he had gone for a totem into a Lightning Storm, that could have possibly gone well. but would have been risky. It would have been unnecessary risk. But Zamos has this Gluttonous Ooze, which he can actually play Keleseth Gluttonous Ooze on this turn to line up his mana pretty much perfectly. And Sandbinder is guaranteed to draw a Glacial Shard, which will freeze out the Valnir. And I actually think I like the look of that play a little bit more.
I actually like this Valnir play from Lucre here. He is very mindful of the damage situation. If Zamos had Healing Rain, I think Lucre would have expected to have seen it already. And Valnir plus a Chillblade Champion is actually lethal. So Lucre playing to an out here, I think.
There's only one Chillblade Champion deck.
Oh, is there? Oh, so have we seen it this game so far?
Yeah, it was used to clear off the mana type.
You're right. So, it was a thought.
There's still an Avenging Wrath out with the damage output here. Something like the quality Avenging Wrath gives you a lot of damage. And I do like this from Zamos. Sunbinder was guaranteed to draw a Glacial Shard with Electra and Grumble both having been played. So freezing out the Valnir means that the Death Rattle is not going to come into play. So that's a concern for a later date for Zamos, but now he's just got to deal with it.
Well, fortunately, Zemos has enough board presence to just clear away the Lich King.
There we are.
Straight away. There's the Healing Rain. Could
even go for Zola.
Yeah.
Zola onto Electra, then Electra Healing Rain would heal Zamos up to 30, and Lucre just doesn't have the damage to get through that all again.
No, he does not. And what's missing from the Shudderwock sequence for Zamos? Is it ready to
go? It's Saronite Chain Gangs. There have not been any Chain Gangs played, but everything else has already happened. Looks like Zamos is not feeling like going for the Healing Rain this turn.
So yeah, Zemos is in a position where he still has to stall this game out. He has to continue drawing cards and hoping for that Saronite Chain Gang to come out. And Gluttonous Ooze is finally going to break Valnir. Where's it going?
And it hits the Mossy Horror, of course the only minion in the hand.
That Mossy Horror, man, he is greedy for that buff.
Yeah, he loves weapons. He loves the taste of weapons. And Lucre's hand is pretty weapon heavy though, which is not ideal for him. And the unfortunate thing about the Valnir in this is Hex at any point is very relevant. And Zemos still hasn't drawn a single copy of Hex.
Well, there's the Chain Gang.
We can go Chain Gang, Zola, and Mana Tide Totem here, which is a pretty impressive turn. And now Zamos does have the Shudderwock fallback at any point. If Zamos ever feels like he's getting too far behind, he has the entire Shudderwock combo in theory assembled. And
this is an absolutely sick turn from Zamos. So much power just generated.
But a Quality Consecration Cinder is also a pretty good turn from Lucre. Just getting Consecration off the top there, and will allow him to push 8 damage to face, putting Zamos down to, I can't do maths, 15.
15, yeah.
Oh, it looks like he's actually just going to go for the Consecration by itself. And just jam a Spikewood Steed on his Mossy Horror, which is the biggest Mossy Horror I've ever seen.
Well, I guess.
Oh,
no!
There it is.
The top is going to answer that huge Mossy boy.
That's unfortunate for Lucre. He was playing. He played that Spikewood Steed because he had made the read that Hex was not in hand, and it wasn't. And then it just came directly at the top. Of course, with only 10 cards left in the deck, 2 hexes, there was a good chance of it appearing. Still feels bad though. Doom Pact has to come out here, losing the Corpse Taker.
Yeah, with no other way to clear the board efficiently,
Lucre
just taking the chance.
Doesn't really lose that much of importance from his deck. A few 2-drops. The Corpse Taker is a bit of a loss, and Crucible Champion wasn't even that much of a loss considering the level of weapon in this hand already. Hagatha though.
Do you Hagatha or do you just start Shudderwalking? I mean, you've got everything you need. There's literally no pressure on board. all these freeze effects are going to lock down the hero.
Oh, and of course Shadowwalk has the weapon removal, and Terranite Chain Gang goes off.
This is just it.
This happened. This is done. We're done here. And Luca, I think Luca needed to hold on to their Doom Pact as a potential out for if Shadowwalk did this.
Yeah, there's always the possibility that the Grumble goes off for the Serenite, but does not have happened today. Zamos, we're gonna watch all these animations flip by, but this one is a done deal. Luker concedes. Zamos with this combo lineup 3-0 against the even Paladin. Zamos stays in. Luker is gonna have to retire.
Yep, that was quite something. The even Paladin just didn't look that good, to be honest. Like I said before, I'm not particularly sold on several of the cards in the build. Hydrologist, Argent Protector, Crystal Smith Kangor, Chillblade Champion even. I think all of these cards they're pretty low impact, and they make the deck quite passive a lot of the time, when I think the deck needs to be really aggressive.
And I think
should be an aggro deck.
I think this particular build is designed to combat the wide board meta that you see on ladder, lots of Zoo, lots of Odd Rope, because of the amount of healing that it can produce in big chunks, while also fighting for the board. You know, because that hero power just guarantees you always have somebody on board. But against a combo deck, it just is not producing enough pressure. And
I just realized it's not even in the even Paladin Cinder. There's no Wild Pyromancer.
Yeah, you kind of usually want to pair that with the quality.
It's a pretty good board clear, especially if it's targeting the, like you say, the wide board strategy. Having that board clear is just insane.
Yeah, I think this just must be one of the several unrefined builds for even Paladin, and Luker's gonna be considering that build for the future. Like, how does he change this to adapt to a tournament meta? But Zamos is going to continue forward with that full combo lineup. He's going to be awaiting the loser of the upper bracket. And let me check with our producer. Are we doing an interview or no? Okay, so
Yeah.
So this is not a winning or elimination match, or nobody's advancing. Nobody's advancing, so no interviews. But we're going to be back pretty soon with, I believe we're going to do the winners match for Game 4. So we're going to be seeing Nalgadan from Argentina versus the architect himself from Vicious Syndicate, Phenom, somebody that I know very, very well, and another big fan of the combo decks. But I'm going to be passing that off to some other people. So, Rebob, it's probably about time for us to say goodbye.
Yes, it is, Cinder. Thanks for joining me on the virtual desk this afternoon. It's been a pleasure. And like I say, we'll be back very shortly. I'm also going to be passing things on. Had a great time for these few matches. So stay tuned, everyone.
Whee!
Welcome back to the winners finals of the Unsung Heroes Tournament, Phoenix Cup Week 4 edition. This is Gallo, and I am joined here by none other than Paradox himself. How are you doing, sir?
Well, it's midnight for me, so I might be a little bit drowsy, but absolute pleasure to be here, Gallo. Got two very well-respected players from the Americas region, Phenom and Nalguden. Why don't you tell me about how these guys have done, Gallo?
Yeah, sure thing. Two very stacked American region players within the most recent Hearthstone tournaments. Nalguden having the most success in most recent tournaments, having qualified, having gotten 5th and 8th through the HCT Summer Championship 2018, and once again 1 round away from qualifying for a World Championship appearance. So, this is a guy to watch pretty much. But Phenom has had a really convincing tournament today, having swept Lucre's Taunt Druid 3-0. He did recently win, about a month and a half ago, a Player One's Sunday Slobber Knocker, which it sounds so good. Yeah, it got him an easy $500 at least. But he's had some appearances in HCT Montreal as well, and still grinding away in the tournaments. But as of the storyline going into this winners finals, where the winner's going to be playing into the winner's going to proceed to the playoffs in 2 weeks from now. They are going to be playing against 7 other notable players from these last 4 weeks to play for winning the Phoenix Cup. And Nalguden had a really close series versus Zamos. Some of these lists indicate that Nalguden is going to have a particularly difficult time versus Phenom from what I'm seeing here in these lineups. He went 2-2 versus Amos, struggling versus a Malygos Druid and I think it was a Zoo from Zamos. Well, what do you think of these lineups and these bands?
I think the Nalguden has a rather unfavorable matchup going in. Phenom seems to be playing a more anti-control strategy, which is something I've seen a lot from him this year. I remember in Cobra America, I believe he brought several quest decks in an attempt to counter the control there. I believe that worked out relatively well for him, but Temper Mage ban from Nalguden makes sense. We have stuff like the Even Warlock, Quest Rogue. These decks are very weak against Temper Mage, so you need to get that out of the way before your lineup gets swept. And let's see, and Phenom banned away Quest Rogue, which also makes sense because I'm pretty sure Phenom's anticipating that Temper Mage gets banned, so obviously we have Shadowlord Shaman, which is weak to Quest Rogue. We have the Mind Blast Priest, which is weak to Quest Rogue, and then Odd Rogue, which is it's fine against Quest Rogue, but it's not a super favorable matchup if the player playing Quest Rogue knows what they're doing. And Nalguden, as you've rightfully said, definitely knows what he's doing on Quest Rogue. If he didn't, I wouldn't bring it.
Yeah, one of the stronger lineups for sure. No surprise to see the Quest Rogue gone. It's been, one of the looming giants in this current tournament meta. So not surprised to have Nalguden bring it and line up his other 3 decks in such a way that he can just win the value game. His Taunt Druid, his Deathstalker, Hunter, and the Even Warlock. It just says I'm going to drop down big minions, or I'm just going to curve my ramp and just win the game because that's what my deck does. Doesn't really feel like he's looking to beat anything particular. He's just playing the biggest decks he can, and it looks like it's going to do pretty well versus what Phenom has here. But what do you anticipate Nalguden launching with first?
Well, I don't think queue order in this series is going to matter particularly much, just because these players are so well versed in the game that if you predict something and then your opponent out predicts you, you're kind of in that lull where you're guess I got outplayed, time to move on to the next one. So I'm pretty sure they're just going to pick what they feel comfortable with. You have to win with 4 of your decks in Conquest anyway, so it doesn't really matter what you open with. It's all about what the weakest deck is after all.
Phenom is just embracing that methodology as you're just suggesting, and just lining up right with his priests, which I'm still struggling to find a good excuse for playing in any tournament. It's just so little that is known about how this deck stacks up versus the most recent tournament lineups. But it seems like Phenom is just looking to get this unknown variable out of the way, and seems to have queued right into Nalgadon's even Warlock.
We have turned our curse
Phenom's
into our
hands,
strength.
like, if he gets the right cards, could be very powerful. We do see the Shadow Vision picked up on turn 1, but if Nalgaiden gets a turn 3 Nalgaiden, and Phenom doesn't have a response, the game could quickly spiral out of control. We don't see that in its hand just yet. We do see that Shadow of Death that will answer the Giant come off of Visions.
Yeah, pulling it preemptively, but no Giant in hand yet. Just pulling a Hook Reaver, which at best would be a 4/4 if you choose to play it for tempo. But Nalgadon's early game is not looking all that dominating, which is, one of the best things you want to do as an even Warlock versus a Priest. You just slam down the earliest Giant you can and just win the game.
I would argue that's what you would do in almost any matchup. Even Warlock is one of those I'm getting my words mixed up this evening, my apologies. Subliminally aggressive decks, right? Like, it's not a deck that you actually want to be playing the control long game for all that much, just because your cards are just stats, right? You don't have that much value coming into your play, so you have 3 mana if it's 4 mana for 10x Twilight Drake or something. You don't have these long grinding cards, so like Odroy has at least a Trailblazer, actually, Doctor, right? Even Warlock does not have these cards. It cannot play a longer game like the older Control Warlocks used to with Zoth and Voidlord. So to compensate for that, they play a more aggressive game on curve, and they just try to say, hey, I have a big guy. If you don't answer my big guy, you lose. And at the moment, this Twilight Drake is looking rather unanswerable for Phenom. We don't see a Psychic Scream anywhere to be found.
Yeah, it's playing the biggest of guys, playing a 10 health minion, 4 attack, no Shower Pain, no death. It's going to be seen there pretty useless. I'm really liking how Phenom played the Radiant Elemental on turn 4 in combination with Shower Pain, because it gave Phenom the ability to top deck into a Shadow Essence and just play it out in turn 5 to get the best use out of that Eternal Servitude. But it didn't quite happen. Yeah, Phenom is able to get Shadow Essence on 6 anyway for a 5/5 Radiant Elemental.
Yeah, for a 5/5 Radiant Elemental. You didn't really want to see that. The main draw to this deck is the power of Shadow Essence and Eternal Servitude, along with the new card, Zerek's Cloning Gallery, to try to get these big, powerful minions. Like you see Malagos in the hand, Prophet Vela, Obsidian Statue, Lich King. You get these big guys from whatever you can, and then you just resurrect them. It's sort of playing a similar game to what Evenlock tries to do, in places. But it has that fallback late game plan of Lyra, as well as just, I'll play Spellstone, get 2 big guys that buff my spells, and I'll Mind Blast you, and you die instantly, which Evenlock doesn't really have the liberty of being able to do, or survive, really.
Well, right. But Nalgadon at least has Skulking Geist. It can take care of the Holy Smites if he rolls into it soon enough. Rolling another Radiant Elemental, though, that is not a Lich King or a Leer of the Sun Shard. He's looking for a little more value there, but didn't just quite happen. Right, I guess Phenom is trying to get to a point where, Nalgadon's going to try hurling 8/8s at Phenom's face, and Phenom just wants to hurl 22 damage Mind Blast at Nalgadon's face. But this Zerek's Cloning Gallery will have to come in pretty clutch to get the most amount of value to win, because it doesn't seem like Phenom has any response to these minions currently. Even this Bone Mare dropping down and something that just buffing up that Hook Reaver into an 8/8. That death's not going to be enough to Hellfire in hand.
Right, and this is sort of why even Warlock has been such a staple in these tournament lineups over the last few months or so. It's just such a consistent deck in what it does. It just plays threats, and it just forces your opponent of answers. And we've seen recently, ever since Raza Priest got rotated out with the Raza nerf, Priest's biggest problem is that it has specific cards for specific threats. If you don't have the specific answer, you just get ran over by the threat. Twilight Drake, for example, has been a thorn in Priest side since God knows. When 2014, Phenom's deal with it.
5 turns too, with that repetitive damage.
Yeah, exactly. And it's just showing the biggest weakness of this Priest deck is its the area of effect removal. It has Psychic Scream and Spirit Lash, and that's it. And the only way Spirit Lash is ever useful for you is if you get like Malagos or Prophet Melon off of these like early game like Shadow Essence type cards. If you
Yeah,
just
just wipe out
do
budgets.
what Phenom did, you just hit Radiant Elementals the entire game, you know, it just crumbles apart pretty much.
It was so unfortunate he wasn't, Phenom wasn't able to find the Psychic Screen to take care of that board. Like, once those minions were gone, the Even Warlock had to take another turn to establish another board, which, you know, if he decided to go full greed or full power, then, you know, there's a chance that Phenom could just get a death and a bigger minion and just swing. But there was no Scream, so there was no victory. And now we have Phenom back with the Odd Rogue, and Nalgudon is queuing up with his Hunter. Like, Phenom's just not taking the chance with his Priest. He just wants to get out the next best matchup he can and prevent any more wins from Nalgudon's part.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's more that Phenom might not be terribly comfortable with the Priest deck. Like you said earlier, it's not exactly a very old deck. Like, it's been around in the map, I'd say at most like a week or two. I feel like Asphodite was one of the first people who brought it into the competitive sphere. And over time, like, people like Theos have popped in with it.
It's a Visa's invention, but Asphodite is popularizing it with multiple rank 1 legends in the past weeks.
That is very true. But as for the matchup at hand, for the most part, this is just going to revolve around whether or not Nalgudon can stabilize, whether or not he can get to Deathstalker Rexa or like Katharina or something like that.
If
If
possible.
Phenom has a slow start like this, sorry for the interruption, then there's not going to be that much that he can really do to win the game. But we see from Nalgudon's hand, he actually has one of the most important cards in the matchup, the Flanking Strike, which will allow him to easily get rid of any free drop that Phenom plays next turn.
Right. And you don't ever risk the Houndmaster Shaw first, when you coin it out. Like, Phenom's always going to play Fledgling on 3 every time. But you wouldn't risk the Fledgling roll by playing Houndmaster Shaw first for ultimate value, right? Like, you just playing Strike it every time.
Yeah, of course you do. Because like you want the SI788 combo to activate as well, especially considering you have the 1-2 on board. So I think, yeah, there we go. See the Flanking Strike come down, just remove any possibility of this vicious thing getting out of control.
Yeah, I just want to go full greed, because like right now, what's going to happen with this Lightning Strike? Even though the Fish Fledgling was denied value, Phenom can just play a couple more minions, and now he has war control. Which, you know, if for some reason Phenom had the low roll with Fish Fledgling, if Nalgudon decided to take that low roll and go for the Houndmaster, then he would have been able to get the board back from this board state.
Yeah,
But the Shaw's going to come down anyway, and this puts Phenom into a position where he must remove it. Like, there's no coin, there's no coin Vile Spine on the Houndmaster. He just has to commit a bunch of damage to it, or just go wide with his Gillian Vetter and hurl the 3/3, the 1/2, and his weapon to it.
or he can play Fundamentor, and then all he has to do is commit either a 3/4 1/2 weapon or a 5/5 weapon.
That
Sounds
is
pretty good to me.
That is a great idea, Paradox. That is a beautiful turn 5 right there. It went completely over my head. This is why you're the analyst.
Yeah. Yeah. And apparently he still agrees with me. He's like, okay. Fundamental 5, usually one of the best plays Odd Rogue can do when you have a board. It's pretty good.
Sure
hit.
that. Would you have
Good.
would you have buffed the one? Oh man, that's the best one. Would you have buffed both the 1/2s for that Fungal Master and just leave yourself vulnerable to the sorry, not Houndmaster, to the Deathstalker?
I would have buffed the SI and I would have sacrificed the 1/2 specifically for this line, right? Like, since the list are public, Phenom is aware that my control tech is in the list of the Hunter. So in that position, knowing that the only real way that like a 5/5 gets killed off there is like Hunter's Mark or Spider-Bomb, I would rather have a 5/5 there than just 2 3/1s. Because like you said, it just dies the Deathstalker Rexa as well, which isn't really a card you want to try to lose to.
Yeah, preferably not. It's kind of unfortunate Nalgudon had this King Crush in his hand, because given a couple more turns against his Blood Knight, he would have had an opportunity to drop down a Katrina Winter Wisp on turn 8, possibly roll into a Crush, and then hurl it into a minion. But this also opens up the possibility for Nalgudon to just draw that Winter Wisp in these next 2 turns, and just get out
Get
a
1 and
Grizzly.
5. He does.
What? The high roll. That was the best one, wasn't it?
It was the best one for Phenom, that's for sure, I think.
Yeah, for sure.
yeah.
For sure. I mean, Battle for Nalgudon, I'm seeing this from Phenom's perspective, and I fall into that habit where you're sitting down in your chair, it's Saturday evening, and you're watching some Hearthstone from your perspective. You're automatically assuming that is your perspective.
Yeah, that's fair enough. But yeah, if that landed on the 9/9, that could have been extremely devastating. I wonder if I wonder if Phenom could have avoided that risk by just killing the Spider Bomb preemptively before proccing Blood Knight. Like, even if the Neutron dies before you go for that, you still got a 6/6, right? And a 6/6 is still pretty much as value as a 9/9 in this spot. So, I don't know. That's
we can count it up.
I know that's serious, but it worked out, so am I to judge?
It would have been the safer lineup for sure. Like, we can count up that 6 damage that he's had with the Blood Knight connecting twice to the face. And then Nalgudon would have been at 11, and Phenom would have still been at a lethal range.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, both these Vile Spines are just absolutely vicious. Like, Nalgudon, man, this is absolutely rough.
Yeah, and like even up before it's showing the power of Ogre. Like, these consistent, like, mid-range aggressive decks, if they get, like, a somewhat good opener, they can blow out decks that somewhat suffer from these consistency issues.
Yeah, it's
the
almost
main weakness of Death Rattle Hunter over its time is aggressive decks. Like,
we've seen the Deathstalker Rexstar do some incredible things.
No, you need to draw it. That's important.
Yeah.
Let the hunt begin.
Get that ultimate value. Well, now that's Phenom back on the Priest. He's got to get that win.
Yeah, this
How do you
will probably
anticipate
be
this lineup
much
going?
easier. No, sorry.
It'll be easier.
After you.
Just like, is it because Nalgudon is playing a slower deck, or what is it exactly about this that's going to be make it easier for Phenom to try to secure this Priest win?
So I know I mentioned it in the first time the Priest got brought up, the fact that Psychic Scream is the main AoE. Psychic Scream is actually a really, really good card against Death Rattle Hunter, just because Death Rattle Hunter suffers from a lack of card draw. So if you put your board and then you shuffle into your deck, and you have like 3-4 cards in hand, and you put another board down, and then we see here like visions for Psychic Scream. So like,
yeah, Phenom was not good at chances. Like, he wanted that Scream this time. Okay, for sure, I can definitely see that. Like, maybe Nalgudon saves the trackings in that case, and at a turn where he's going to get Psychic Screamed anyway, then tries to use that tracking to get out the most valued turn he can in response to whatever Phenom summons next.
Quite
Like,
possibly.
the mana cost is just so prohibitive. Like, you drop down, you're forced into a position as Phenom to play the Scream on turn 7, and that just gives all initiative to Nalgudon. All that aggressive opening.
Yeah, I mean, Flanking Stroke in this matchup isn't really going to be that useful just because the Priest has such big minions that, for the most part, you're not really too concerned with dealing 3 damage. He just wanted to get the egg out of the way before he gets screamed back into his deck. The main way to avoid the all-important Scream is going to be that Deathstalker Rexstar. Being able to generate those zombies with the ability's hero power means that even if your minions get shuffled in, you can just play more from your hero power, so you don't really run out of cards. So then the only way the Phenom would win, besides just running upgraded out of cards, is just doing the combo, pretty much.
Straight up, just get that Cloning Gallery out and hope you have both the Malagos and the Melon by then.
Yeah.
These Shadow Essences have not been terribly hot for Phenom.
You say that, a 5/5 Gilded Gargoyle actually isn't that bad, right? Because even if it dies, you can go Coin Lich King next turn. Like, that's pretty good.
And with Nalgudon committing the Hunter's Mark, that just makes the Lich King even better.
Yeah.
You're just on top of this matchup. Like, one of the newest decks in the tournament scene. Like, I say tournament scene as though, like, the Priest had any merit to being a part of it. Like, it's just so new. And I haven't seen this particular Priest list being featured on any ACT tournament matchup or series. Like, I'm not even sure you're even going to see it in the Fall Championship. But Nalgudon's just on top of it too. Like, he sees the lines. He's going to drop that. He's looking to get that Grizzly, and his 3/3 is like whatever Maze can get on the board to hit him in the face.
Yeah. Unfortunately for Phenom, Nalgudon actually has a pretty solid answer to the Lich King. He can go Spider Bomb, Coin, Carnivorous Cube, and then that'll just kill the Lich King right there and then.
And in turn forcing, it would force Phenom to pretty much Psychic Scream, wouldn't they? Because that's 6 more damage coming his way.
Exactly. It threatens lethal next turn if Katarina pulls King Crush from Nalgain's deck.
Yeah,
And
which,
while we
like,
do
we
see
know
it in
that's-
Nalgain's hand, Phenom doesn't know that. So
Yeah, for
he has
sure.
to be scared of lethal coming in soon.
I don't see any other line that you play instead of Psychic Scream in this case. There's no contest here. You just drop it down.
Yeah, you're not taking 10 damage here and winning the game. That just doesn't happen.
Yeah,
Uh,
100%.
Where's
Yeah.
my...
However, this does make Katarina Winterlist more live, even though like a beast is in Nalgain's hand. Like Death Row Hunter, despite being a hunter deck, only plays like 3 beasts. It plays Double Witcher Grizzly and King Crush. So when you draw Witcher Grizzly and King Crush, your Death Row doesn't really go off, except in scenarios like this when the stream comes down and then suddenly you've got extra beasts in your deck. Pretty good.
Whoa, he's not even going to roll for his Lich King from Radiant, from the Spell Stone. He's just going to try to get as much damage as he can and hope he rolls into something useful.
Yeah, I think he's trying to find some healing because I think that Phenom knows that King Crush might be coming out next turn, and if King Crush does come out, that would just be the end. And we do see that there is a King Crush, but with
And
that
1 damage
Spirit
off.
Rush- yeah, it's 1 damage off.
Wow, that was close.
I wonder if you go for it anyway. I think Multi Horror is probably better, and Nalgain does see that. So, King Crush for 14 would be a pretty interesting play, but Lyra 2 Radiance, that's way too much. You can't let that stick. No
those
way.
are a series of high rolls you would not want to give your priest opponent. Like you see Lyra come down, if you have no answer versus it, and even for this Radiant Elementals, it's just absolutely dangerous.
Yeah, exactly. I wonder if we'll see the greater, what's it called? The Greater Diamond Spellstone come down here.
The Greater Diamond Spellstone. Well, you have you're in your pool, right? You have 5 minions, right? You have both Radiant Elementals, the Lyra, the Gargoyle, and the Lich King.
Well, it summons 4 different friendly units.
So you get all 4. Okay, you're right.
Yeah, so it would summon all 4 of them. So it's just going to go for the preemptive scream, just try to get the board as empty as possible, and then it'll go for that big turn, that big spellstone turn to put all of the minions in play. Just say, hey, here's a board, Hunter, deal with it. And this is what I mean about Psychic Scream. Like, we can see, like, now there's nothing. It's just
Pretty
throwing the
much.
Zodiac to the wall. That's not going to do anything. Not against what Phenom has planned.
Just a 3/2 Divine Shield. It's worth noting that Phenom still has 1 more Psychic Scream in his deck, and 1 more Vision. Like, he technically could Psychic Scream away Nalgadon's board 4 times, if you were so inclined.
It's very true. So, I'm going to go for Holy Nova into Ziliax, just trying to get himself as healthy as possible.
That's going to heal him for a full
wonder-
6.
Yeah. I wonder if Death and Decay with Spellstone might have been better there, because you're only taking 3, so you don't die to anything. And then you
Yeah,
have
that was-
Lyra.
That was
Like, you have Lichy too, so I wonder. But it looks like we are going to see the King Crush come down finally, because Nalgain understands that he is running out of time. Without
Yeah.
Ebsor Threatser, he needs to put the pressure on.
His Majesty. But there's a Vision. Would you ever go for that for death?
Yeah, you
can
go
get
for
one
Visions here,
touch.
especially considering what's in the
Yeah.
pool.
He's always going to roll
What?
1 ton no matter what.
Oh,
Oh, look at that. Oh, man.
yeah, you take second Lich King hit. Yeah,
Who needs
nice.
Mind Blast?
Yeah, just have Death and Decay to burst damage, right?
Well,
Oh man,
maybe
Mind
King
Control
Crush
could
played
steal
that.
one of these.
Oh, you could.
Oh, but it's still the worst
What a
possible
roll.
minion.
Well, you can make a
Yeah.
King Crush play death.
Astounding.
Yeah, unfortunately, that's not how it works. Play Dead will only work on Death Row minions, so
Incredibly. Yeah.
now going out of there. Phenom
Well,
will be
that's-
going 2-1 up.
Yeah, it's 2-1. That leaves Phenom with his Shaman. You'd expect Nalgadon to line up with his Hunter again, wouldn't you?
Hunter in general, I found is underperforming quite a lot lately in tournaments. Like, I've been a
Really?
very outspoken individual on the weaknesses of Secret Hunter, like the other variant of Hunter.
Let's go.
I was playing in the ESL UK Premiership a couple of weeks ago.
Which you won.
Yeah, that's not important. Anyway, I played It's like so many secret hunters. I think. No, I played against Secret Hunter like in winners finals and grand finals, and every time when I won, I just sweat that deck. Because what happens with Secret Hunter and Death Row Hunter to a degree too, is that since they don't run any card draw, they just run out cards against these other late game strategies. And once that happens, they can just get ran over. So
By any control deck, it seems. But like, if you're gonna be queuing up with a Secret Hunter or Deathstalker Hunter, I keep saying Deathstalker Hunter, the Egg Hunter, versus an aggro lineup. Like, does that change anything? Because I would have anticipated the Secret Hunter being really good versus, folks trying to grind with the aggro decks.
It depends on if you get that all-important Emerald Spellstone. That to me is the centerpiece of that deck, and also in part why I don't like it. Because when you don't get the Spellstone on 5, your deck honestly feels like it crumbles apart. But you have the standard mid-range Hunter curve, they don't really have a good follow-up, and that is a really bad tracking.
Oh, that's not where you want to go. You have to pick Rexar every time, right? Was there any merit for the Winter-Wisp?
I actually think there is, because King Crush isn't in Nalgaon's hand, and you don't really win this matchup that often by grinding people out with zombies. Most of the time, the way you win this matchup as the Hunter is just through pressure. But we do see the second Terragant Scale Stalker in Nalgaon's hand. I would be very surprised if he doesn't use it here. Just because it generates 8/8 in stats for 3 mana, which is honestly pretty absurd.
It's absolutely insane. It seems like Nagbudan is
going to I'm playing it too!
That's... Well, that's just hurtful, isn't it?
I think you go for it. Oh no. The only way this gets punished is like Electra Lightning Storm. They go coin Electra Lightning Storm, right? But that's such a specific combination of cards to have in your top 10. I just think you go all in. Oh, we see the Electra!
Where's the Storm, though?
Oh, if he gets the Storm, it's will be
one
so
card that
huge.
pulls him back, right?
I think so. I mean, MC Tech can do it too. Does he get 5?
No, full worst minion. Well, second
that's
worst, I'd say.
brutal.
Okay, well, I think Phenom's just going to tank this 13 like a champ.
Well, I don't think he has a choice. We do see Deathstalker on 6. We'll be able to clear the Terrascope Stalker when it ends the play.
Nalgadon picked up that Deathstalker Rexar anticipating a longer game. Like, he wasn't going to burst him out on turn 8 with a King Crush from Winter-Wisp. He just said, you're playing a slower deck, and all your combo pieces are not, it's incredibly unlikely that you're going to have all your combo pieces together by turn 9. So I was going to take 3 or 4 turns for some high-value minions and hit you in the face very hard.
Yeah. On a complete tangent here, I have noticed, it's a lot different for the European players, but it seems that the American players are playing these games extremely quick. I don't think I've seen a single word of this entire series so far. It's crazy. What do you think about that?
I might just have to take your word for it. Like, I don't necessarily pay attention as much to the length of time the players compete. Like, I'll just see someone play a deck, and it makes a lot of sense for folks to want to snap out their plays, right? Because if you take too long, that kind of translates to your opponent that you have options. Whereas opposed to just taking your time, that gives your opponent the suggestion that you have one of 2 lines. That's how I'm choosing to interpret it. But it's been so long since I've competed. Like, you could just as easily tell me that it's a mistake, and I'll be like, well, okay. Unless you wrote every single turn and Resurrect Life Coach.
Yeah, I'm not going to say it's a mistake. Like, players like Casey, barely wrote themselves, like Stardew.chi. Like, he was really good. He doesn't write either. But it is interesting to me. Like, we just see these turns. I think we spent 2 minutes between the last 3 turns of this game. It's utterly crazy to me.
Yeah, this Deathstalker Rexar is coming down on turn 6. Well, turn 8.
Yeah.
Alright.
Let's see. So we do see the Hagatha come down on turn 8, just trying to limit that aggression from Nalgaon as much as possible. I imagine. Okay, so going to be seeing the Wildebeest now, getting probably Life Drinker.
Yeah,
I
it's gonna
guess
just
you could
try
go
to
for
steamroll,
Ivy
yeah.
now, but I don't know if that's how it works. I don't think you get the extra health back by silencing your own minion. I mean, you do on the other Grizzly, but I don't know if you do it with damage to one. I don't believe you do.
I don't think so either. That would just be incredibly busted. But I'm not really sure why you picked the owl in the first place. Versus Shadowwalk Shaman. Like, the minions are pretty straightforward. Oh, what's this?
Well, like, you pick Owl versus Shadowwalk Shaman because you place your shot, right? Like, your opponent freezes a guy, and then you can play Owl Zombies to unfreeze it. That's probably why I'm going to pick the Penguin. Because the Penguin just means that the Owl just costs 3 mana. You just get free, like, unfreeze 3 mana.
Okay,
makes
that's making sense for sure. Like the Ghost Shards are one of the, I'd probably say one of the best survival tools for Shadowwalk Shaman. Like it's 1 mana deny between 5 to 8 damage against a more mid-range deck, which ends up being one of your more significant threats playing as a Shadowwalk Shaman.
Indeed. And it's not just the Shadowwalk either, like Western, for example, can abuse Glacial Shock quite a lot as well.
Yeah,
It's
for
just a
sure.
very strong card.
That's one of the best anti-aggro cards. This Arthas could do some very dirty things.
Depending on if it gets more than 1 death round trigger, yes. So
If you
there
can
is
get a chance to see
currently
it.
12 HP on board, so Volcano will be on board with there. Pretty sure that Phoenix is going to hold this Zola just so he's able to get the Shadowwalk to 100% of the time being used twice. So even if the Grumble effect fails, he can still just Zola Shadowwalk and try again next turn.
Well, I would have anticipated on turn 9 that Phenom would have dropped with Serenite with the Zola and then had the 2 additional mana for, whatever he happened to roll with both those minions. But I would have thought that as a Shadowwalk Shaman player, you'd try to get more Serenites. But with this line that you're seeing now, it makes a lot more sense. You just drop down Shadowwalk Shaman on turn 10 with the Zola, and if it fails, you can roll again. It's very significant.
Exactly.
I would have just played the Shadowwalk roulette like a plebe.
It shows the evolution of how Shadowwalk play has gone through ever since its inception. So at the start, people focused on the infinite damage part, where you go Grumble for Murmuring Elemental and you go infinite damage. But over time, we've been able to see eventually people realized that going full infinite combo was just wrong, so they started innovating. Eventually, we saw Prince Keleseth start coming into the deck because people realized that Murmuring Elemental is just not that great, neither is Fire Pimpologus. We got that in, and then we started seeing, okay, so we want to bounce Saranax over and over, so we guarantee the bounce more easily. And then now we see the next step of that evolution, where people realize, oh, well, Zola costs 1 mana, so my combo is guaranteed, so I have no reason to get extra Saranax if I don't need them, if that makes sense.
No, it does perfectly. That just shows how versatile this deck happens to be. I would have just anticipated the Shadowwalk Shaman doing the same thing. It's just a beautiful package. You just play Battlecry minions, which gives you a board, and at some point it puts together, if you happen to roll pretty well, an incredible, infinite damage combo. Nalgadon is struggling for dear life right now, trying to get this win.
He
With
needs
12
a good
health, he's
zombies.
painstakingly close.
Yeah,
And what
but
could
it looks like
what could you
the clock
anticipate?
has ended.
Yeah.
No, I say that actually. Phenom has not played Life Drinker this game, so when Shadowwalk comes down, he will not be healing for any amount of damage.
That
And
could just
because
easily be
Phenom
a
has
6
also
ring.
not played Glacial Shard, nothing will be frozen on the board. So the only board control he gets with Shadowwalk is the 3 damage to all minions battle cry with Agatha the Witch.
Well, we haven't even seen a shard yet from Phenom, haven't we? There's a
No, we
chance
haven't.
his 7-6 might just win.
Yeah, it's possible. It just depends on if Sarenite. Yeah, there we go.
That's it. Okay, that's good.
Because
Well, it feels pretty.
not quite yet, but yeah, this does allow Phenom the ability to get a 7-3, and with the Sarenite coming out, we'll guarantee another Shadowwalk Battle Cry coming out next turn.
Yeah, literally doesn't matter what Nalgadon plays. There's no stealth minion that he can summon with whatever possibilities lie within the Death Knight. In that can survive constant 3 damage board clears. It feels pretty done, but maybe Nagvidon can put together a lot of charge damage.
It depends on if the combo fails at any point, because if the combo fails, like he doesn't get a Rumble Croc before Saronite, Zola will still cost the Sherlock at 9 mana. It won't cost 1. So, and since Zola costs 1 per self, you can't go Sherlock Zola 9 mana Sherlock in the same turn. So if the combo fails even once, you can't actually board clear like 2 or 3 times during a turn. So it is possible for a stealth minion to appear and possibly get a guy nervous. That would be good.
Yeah, we're playing some very high rolls. You know, this is Hearthstone. There's no justice. It could happen.
It depends on your definition of justice. If you're a South American player, you're definitely feeling the justice right now.
Oh, for sure. It's all perspective, definitely.
Exactly.
I mean, I'd love to see this be a 2-2. I'd love to see Nagvidon pull this through. And, you know, if for whatever reason, unless a miracle occurs, like if Nagvidon happens to lose this one, then he'll just have to play against Zamos once more in the losers finals.
And that
I
would
think I'm
be
not
a
even
very
going for that
interesting
Shadow Wall.
matchup.
There's the shard.
So 5-4, just showing how many times Prince Keliseth has been triggered like through these Sherlock battle cries. Crazy.
That's incredible. Oh,
So
you know, who knows? Maybe Phenom just pulls a bunch of lava bursts.
it's possible.
You know, just having them with all these minions.
Sherlock's coming out. We do see that Battle Cry will be able to go off once more. There's also something else, by the way, I forgot to mention.
What's
It's
that?
possible, like even when this Sherlock is still here, you can still Hagatha before Grumble. So you Hagatha then Grumble, and then you don't have to Sherlock at all.
Oh, you're right.
Or this happens. You hand this with 9 mana Sherlocks, and you actually can't play anything.
Thanks, Beaker Lightning.
And
So
Beacon Lightning is actually good. I was actually considering playing that in Sherlock at one point, because it's actually really good against Token Druid.
Really?
Yeah,
Like, against what Druid?
against Token Druid. Because Token Druid has the 1/1s, right? So
Right.
you play Beacon Lightning for 0 mana, and then Hagatha on 8, and you clear the board. Or Lightning Storm or Volcano. It's actually kind of legit in this deck. I don't know if it's optimal, but in theory, if you play against Token Druid a lot, it is viable.
You know, I was trying to get rank 5 of Token Druid last night, and from what you just told me, I'm feeling like as though I don't want to play Hearthstone tonight. With at least not Token Druid. If I'm going to see Beaker Lightning against my rank 7
I
opponent.
don't think it's popular, but if Token Druid gets popular enough,
But it'd be such incredible tech. Like, you saw a lot of the players from the last couple of days grinding for those early legend ranks with Odd Paladin, funnily enough, just because like no one else happens to be playing it, and but it just seems like in a given meta state where everyone's going to try to rush that, this Odd Paladin can grind just as well versus the odd decks while stealing wins versus the more controlling style decks.
in an absence of spreading plague, Odd Paladin can do some very, very dirty things, like we said. You see the Urban Light come down, chooses to not freeze the Carnivorous Cube. That's interesting. Oh, he's just going to use Cryostasis on it. Okay.
I guess he's playing against the possibility of the last Hunter's Mark. Would that be correct?
That would be correct. And this actually does give Nilgaiden an out to get lethal hit if Phenom does not play Feral Spirit.
Oh
Like-
my god.
It depends on what zombies comes off of this hero power. And it has to cost 5 mana orbs.
Oh, what is this
If he
game?
gets Life Drinker with charge, he actually has control.
You gotta be kidding me. Well, that's
That would be
9
crazy.
decks. That's,
I mean,
that's
you
9
have to
cards in Pino's deck.
Yeah. Yeah, you have to go for it, but if he gets it, oh my goodness.
That'll go down in the Unsung Heroes tournament highlights for sure.
Yeah, because he did exactly Life Drink rewards too. That's so unlikely. There's no way.
Well, what
If
other
he
line?
gets it,
What other line are you thinking of trying to play as Nagvidon when you don't instantly play the hero power?
I don't know if there is one. Like Mossy Horror and Spider Bomb don't really do anything, so I think you have to click the button. I think
Well, I mean, if he plays
things
Mossy
are fun.
with the bomb, he could just remove the 7/6 outright.
That he could, but at this point, Nalgain's at 32. I'm not sure that's really necessary, like to remove the 7/6. I think you're more like prioritizing just killing him now, like while you have the opportunity before Life Drinker shows up. But it looks like he's gonna do your line. He's gonna go ahead and just get rid of the 7/6.
Yeah. So he's going to do his best to keep that 7/9 alive by presenting Phenom with 3 targets for the 1 copy of the Glacier Shard that Phenom is going to roll. Instead of the Stone
That is
Circle.
a 6-8 Acolyte of Pain.
My goodness.
Do you go for the Sparrow Spirit here? Like, Mossy Horror is already gone, so you don't have to worry about it being played, so it's either that or you drop Acolyte Pain.
Well, I mean, you've already seen the Rexstar come down, and I don't see anything in Nalgadon's list from what I'm seeing that could punish him for doing so. Like, it just seems like Phenom's trying to buy whatever time he can to get that one, to get either of the 2 copies of Life Drinker within this deck. Like, it's a 25% roll to pull 1 from this deck, and then the following turn to go for it.
Okay. Okay.
Oh,
Wait. That's not lethal.
it's so close though.
But okay, more zombies time. If he gets a Stampeding Kodo with either rush or charge, he has lethal.
Oh, do it, Nalgadon.
or if he gets anything with 5 mana or less with rush or charge.
Yeah, I'll say this. I am impartial, but let's go, Nalgadon. I want to see an incredible roll.
Oh, he got
There's
it!
a rush!
He has lethal. He actually has lethal. As long as he picked the 2 mana zombies, he has lethal. Yeah, because he can rush the hyena, and then he can silence the 2/3.
That's
And
right.
we're going to game 5.
Holy, that's well, that's a progress in the chat right there.
I hope it is. That is crazy.
Incredible. You know what? Okay, that's the last time I call this game sealed. From my little competitive experience right there. You were vouching for Nalgadon saying no, not yet, Gallo. There may not be a
Deathstalker, you said it yourself, right? Deathstalker Rex I can pull miracles. And that was a miracle right there.
That is it. We're now we have a game 5. That's pretty remarkable. We're going to see. Let's see what's remaining right now. It's
so Shadowwalk versus what kind of druid?
This is the Taunt Druid.
Versus the Taunt Druid.
Oh,
So this is pretty Shadowwalk favored as well, just because of pets.
very much
but-
so. Right, the best thing that Nalgadon can hope for. Actually, what would be Nalgadon? Like, you're the analyst. What would you think would be Nalgadon's win condition with the Taunt Druid
So
against the
basically,
odds?
So basically, what Nalgadon has to do, this is to get a board that's so large and so sticky that even if like he needs to Hadronauts naturalize and then just get a board that's so huge, he can just win off of that board. Like there's no way that Phenom can clear it. If Phenom gets the time to be able to clear a post Hadronauts board and then hexes, that could just be it. But we do see the Life Drinker that was definitely absent in the last game.
Could have spelled a victory for Phenom, but well, Nalgadon's just gonna ramp.
Yeah. Nalgadon's hand is also really, really solid. He has Open Summons on 4, he has Lich King, he has Primordial Drake. The only thing he's really missing at this point is the Nourish.
The Nourish, right? Turn 5. That's gonna be massive. You know, the number of times I've seen a Shadowwalk Shaman throw a game by playing an MC tech when the frog's on the board. I don't think Phenom's gonna be
I've never seen that happen, but that sounds
I've seen it
really
twice.
funny.
It literally lost Blood Trail a game versus Nalgadon during the Summer Championship, putting Nalgadon to a top 8. And it was miraculous. Like, it isn't a top 5 video that we published on the Hearthstone channel. And,
Oh, the Tempest.
yeah, and then we saw it again. I think we saw it again last week at HT Oslo, I believe. I don't know. It's just one of the worst things that happens to you versus Shadowwalk Shaman. Like you try to get the big minion, you steal the frog, you make Witching Hour just
and then you just lose.
And you just
Your plan
lose.
backfires.
in the worst
If you
possible
see another
fashion.
Open Summons, Ooh.
Wow.
So this is actually kind of relevant for Nalgaiden. I'm just going to check his list, but I believe at this point, that is his last minion. Let me check. Yes, that is his last minion with 3 attack in his deck. That's actually really relevant because what can happen is if you play Master Eckhart, if Hadronauts is the only 3 attack minion in your deck, and you don't kill it immediately, the Shogun could just hex the Hadronauts, like right there.
Oh, wouldn't that be disastrous?
Yeah, it most certainly would.
Well,
You see
Nalgadon's
the-
got both naturalized anyway. So, I mean, it just feels like if Nalgadon is fortunate enough to pull that Master Gold card by turn 9, while Hazelnox remains in the deck, it feels like you would just coin naturalize. Right? I'm not saying
Almost certainly, but you never know. I'm just saying that is a way that he can throw the game, and hopefully
by
he
just
will.
coining out the Master Gold card.
Yeah, exactly. Or not even just coining it, right? Like he draws it on turn 9, just slams it. I mean, fortunately for him, Hex is nowhere to be found. You can see just the absolute fear of Hex. He's just cubing 3/6s. Like he knows it's like I can't cube Hadronauts in this matchup. It's gonna get hexed.
And Nalgadon's not
So-
going to lose armor anytime soon.
Yeah, exactly. So just trying to get as much tempo as possible, pretty much.
Well, that would read no Hex, but Phenom's got 2 draws in his Manti Totem. I feel like Nalgadon would just play the Lich King anyway, and hope that he rolls
Primordial
something.
Drake is also pretty good because it clears the Manti as well as the Saronite Chain Gang.
Okay,
Meaning
yeah,
that
I feel
Rumble will only have so there's only 2 Saronites in the battle crate pool for Shutterwork at this point. Meaning it's actually pretty reasonable for Phenom to whiff. And
Yes.
Phenom whipping is also a way that he can lose this game. There's so many variables in the way that these players can just up and lose the game because their combo didn't work. So
What a
Kinda
game
weird
state that would be.
matchup.
Like no witching hour rolls from the Hazelnox and no Starbuck combo from Phenom. Like you just seeing some fatigue nonsense at that point.
which the Druid would almost certainly win, just because the Druid has the hero power to get armor. The fact that the Lich generating cards like Healing Ray, Lava Burst, etc. It definitely pull the game back. We do see the O-Card! Is he gonna go
Okay.
for it though?
Well, I mean, I would have played the Lich King 100%, but you're absolutely
Yeah.
right. Like the other line from Nalgadon was to deny that Manti Totem, and you were right. Like I definitely agree with denying the resources. It's just in the best possible lines you can play, where if Phenom happens to draw twice more of the Manti Totem, like your best top deck would have been Master Oakheart, and then you would have had the Lich King, which if it were removed by minions, if Phenom didn't have Manti right there and then Master Oakheart would have had, the Hazelnox come out, coin naturalize, you would have had Lich King again.
That is true. Oh, the Earthshock will deny 2 3/6s coming out from that Carnivorous Cube.
Oh, it's beautiful.
That is probably one of the best draws that Phenom can hope for. And the Hex!
And the Hex! You...
Oh my
That's
goodness.
not fam. You love to see that Phenom, fam. That's...
You definitely love to see that. That was like the best turn he could have asked for, really. This does beg the question, though. Does he go for the Oakheart and not naturalize Hadronauts?
That would be...
Does he not
Very
naturalize
ballsy.
it? Because Hex came off the top. He didn't
Yes.
play one that was in his hand. He played it from the far side. That's interesting.
Well, it
I
seems
don't
like
know if he'll
Nalgadon...
take that risk, but if he does, if he takes this risk right now, Nalgadon will have my respect. But yeah, he knows it's way too risky to try something like that.
I would have been such a fan if you pulled that off, but...
I would have been a fan too. Speaking of things that can go wrong, by the way, Death Grip can steal Shuttlewalk.
There we go.
Into this
Oh, what a roll! It's still 5-5-2?
Oh, what's the other one gonna get?
Oh.
That's not that great. Man,
Applause to Phenom for making the trade from the Frog first.
yeah, of course, just making sure that is in the pool of Deadpool minions, but oh man, if this Death Grip gets Shuttlewalk right now.
What a way for Nalgadon to proceed to the top 8. But Phenom
Yeah,
is
or
getting
Grumble.
closer, I
Grumble
think.
would also be really sick, by the way. Because Grumble is the same thing.
Grumble,
Or
that's right.
Grumble. Yeah, or Grumble. Like,
Oh,
Grumble
he's
would
getting all
also
that
be
back.
really sick. So he actually has
Well-
2 chances just to win the game here. Oh, we see more
Oh, what's this?
the Unstable Evolution, capitalizing on Dragon Hatchet costing 9 mana.
Nicely done.
Oh man.
Doesn't
Oh,
look too many
goodness.
more evolves.
Yeah. It's got 3 mana left, so it's just trying to make sure its board is as competitive as possible.
Whoa!
Make sure there's no holes.
Yeah, it's looking pretty good for Phenom right now. Like this one's Boros State, Nagvidon, or any Druid player.
3
probably
petal floras.
What?
That's not actually that great. Like 0 mana Manatite isn't that great, but
Yeah, I mean Nagvidon
here comes the death grip. Here comes the death
Here it
grip.
comes. Now, it's one of the things about a Druid struggles with is
No,
wide mid-range
he's not
boards.
gonna do it, is he? No, he's gonna wrap. Oh. Wait. No.
What?
No, guy, no!
Nagvidon! Oh, oh, he's playing to the best rolls, right? Like, the more minions that Phenom draws, the more likely that...
No, he drew the shot!
The more likely that would have been Nagvidon to steal Shadow Walk from Life Grip. No, sorry,
Yeah.
Death Grip, I'm mistaken.
Yeah.
Oh, well.
If he draws Grumble as well.
That's it. Well, it feels like that's it.
Oh
but
my
a couple
goodness.
branching paths would do it.
That is true, but there is a volcano staring.
You could just trade everything and
Nice.
Volcano.
Yeah.
That's right.
You could also trade the what's it called? You could trade the Florus into I don't know, like the 4/7 or something, and then just Grumble, and then you can use Mind Control Tech. But man, oh, that Death Grip could have been so huge.
Yeah, this is what happens.
Honestly speaking, though, like as a non-caster in this situation, Nalgaiden made the right play. Because it's very likely that that Death Grip would not have gotten Shallow or Grumble.
Yeah, the
But
rolls
if
would
it
have been
did,
too
that
much.
would have been incredible.
Well, it literally won just in a game in the top 8 versus Central Law at ACT Seoul. Just straight up playing Death Grip when he had the chance and pulling Shadow Walk.
I believe there was also a time where he overdrew the show as well, right? Like, I believe Saiyan did that.
That's right.
Yeah. There's so many ways for this combo to fail sometimes, but man, the Dreamfall floor is deep.
Oh
nothing.
man,
The
that's
Grumble, making the combo impossible to fail now.
no
Is-
minions left. All this is all. Never mind.
Doesn't
that
matter
wins.
though.
Yeah, Shadow Walk comes down, but there hasn't been a Stare Knight yet.
That is true. Wait. No, there has been. There's been 2 of them already, I believe.
Really?
Because Primordial Drake came down earlier in the game, right?
Oh, that's right. That's right.
To clear the mana types and stuff. So yeah, that happens very much this game. Which means that Phenom is going to move on. I don't see a way.
I dared for a more drawn out, dramatic game, but it just seems like Phenom is just going to close us out with the flower power.
Yeah, the unstable evolution from the Haggar for the Witch. Getting Mulch
Pretty
Muncher
incredible.
and Dreampetal Florus.
You're seeing it here first. The Dream Petal Florus is amazing in Shadow Walk deck. Might say it's kind of a new standard in Shaman.
Well, all you need to do is just rock up to Blizzard HQ, say, hey, Dreampetal Florus should be a neutral card, and then see what the reaction is.
Alright,
I'm
Phenom's just
sure-
going to wrap this up real quick.
Well, unless shenanigans
Unless something
ensue.
happens, yeah.
Do you ever just Volcano here and just wait like a turn? Does Volcano just clear the board?
Good. Well, I mean, like, Nagvidon has 7 cards left in this deck, right? We haven't seen a Witching Hour. We've seen
No,
one
he's just
Sword.
gonna go for the Shallow. Okay. And since Grumble has not been played,
There we
it
go.
will like kill
take
off
both.
mana
He's gonna
types.
All the copies. But his hands can get pretty full from that spell, isn't it?
It depends on if that spell is playable.
Yeah, he's gonna play. He's only
Bloodlust
getting one
is
of these back.
definitely not playable though.
Because he's gonna play that Shadow Walk, get the Grumble back. Then
He won't play Shuttlewalk here. He wants to guarantee that Shuttlewalk gets bounced to his hand, right?
Yeah.
The bounce goes in order of play, so it would actually bounce Grumble first. So it wouldn't bounce Shuttlewalk. So he would actually screw himself and he wouldn't be able to complete his combo.
yeah, it's true. I just saw the one man of Shadow Walk and I was like, let's drop it.
Let's just slam it.
True.
What's the worst that can happen?
Yeah, that just would have left Phenom completely screwed. But it has so many of these big spells left. Like Phenom just needs another turn to play some of these out to go off with the Shadow Walk Shaman. Go off the Shadow Walk.
Well, we do see
This is
cards like Tidal Surge and Healing Rain that can just be played for the sake of it, so
Yeah, this
Yeah,
is
the
precarious.
soon here.
I'm liking removing the Grumble outright. Like, Nagmadon knows Phenom has if that Grumble goes back in his hand, that's just it. That's the last Hex.
That is the last Hex, but it's not going to matter at this point. Phenom's got the full combo, and Nilgaiden has pretty much no board. It's pretty much what I said at the start.
Yeah. Oh, that's right. It doesn't really matter what Phenom really plays. Like, just get out all the spells he can, and then he can just start chaining from Shadow Walk for 10 mana. You know, so 3 damage to 3 damage. Like, it's...
As long as you have at least... So, you only need to play one spell, really. Like, you can play one spell and then Shadow Walk, because you have 8 cards in hand, like, as the Shadow Walk goes off. And you get the Shadow Walk back to your hand or hack of the triggers, so... Really, all you need to do is just play one spell and you can play Shadow Walk no problem, but...
Well, if you only play the one spell, then it only gives you a chance to get the one Shadow Walk back. Like, I don't know. It just feels like he tries.
Yeah, it's just gonna play the 2, just make it safe. But does he get like? Yeah, okay. So combo will continue, which is good.
Yeah, he can get 2 spells so that he can get 2 Shadow Walks in his hand.
Potentially, because like I said in the last game, there is the potential of Agatha destroying the Shadow Walk before Grumble bags to. You do see that like Grumble is going to return those Shadow Walks to Phenom's hand, and
2 is all.
it's just going to be around.
Nagmadon's just going to play it out.
Well, there's no reason not to, right? Because he gives you nothing. If you play it out, you have at least a chance to win, even if that chance isn't accessible. So it's still but like you see so many players during the HCT events just not concede even when the game seems lost. This is no benefit to it, apart from maybe like mental, like team or whatever. Usually you wouldn't concede in situations like this. But even though the game looks pretty much hopeless, it's still worth a try. But
With the
you see a frog,
frog.
and that's going to be the end of the road, and Phenom is going to move up to the top 8. Pretty well done.
Pretty incredible series. That comeback from Nagmadon with the Hunter was spectacular stuff. I'm glad we got to see a 5th game. And what a 5th game that was. I believe we're going to proceed to a winners interview.
Is that right? Okay.
Yeah, as we've done in the past, like every time we finish a winners final, we get to talk with the winner about, you know, it's just from what we've done from the past pools and past weeks, but it's up to our producer.
Oh, wonderful. I'm glad to hear that. I remember when I was doing this last month that wasn't like a thing, but it's nice to see. And getting insight of a player like Phenom is definitely worth it.
Well, that's pretty much it, right? So Phenom has qualified, and that's some, you know, congratulations to him on a very well played series. And it looks like our next series will be Nalgmadon playing it. It's going to be duking out versus Zamos one more time to secure that last spot for our Phoenix Cup playoffs.
Yep, 2 pretty good players. I know that Zamos is very good on Malgus Druid. He hit rank 1 legend quite a few times. I know that Orin said that he was going to he just said like, hey, follow this guy, he's really good at Malgus Druid. Pretty much. I believe he's in the Xiao T too.
Okay, just got a word up from our producer that there is going to be no interview. We just got to hurry up for Nalgmadon to get into this last series for the day. So we are going to be right back with the last game. Let's go ahead and stay tuned for now. We'll be right back.
Don't go anywhere.
Welcome back to the last match of the day for the Unsung Heroes tournament, the Phoenix Cup tournament. And this will be wrapping up the pools from the last 4 weeks, wrapping up some of the most intense grassroots Hearthstone we've seen on Twitch. I'm joined here by Vex Gaming's own Paradox Hearthstone. How you doing, man?
Doing good. It's 1 a.m. I'm casting Hearthstone. Got 2 very good Americas-based players. It's looking good. I'm expecting a very good series, just like the last one.
Yeah, living that good life. And that's the last one from both the most recent tournament, most recent match that we just saw with Nalgadon playing against Phenom, who Nalgadon just lost 3-2. And there's also an earlier match. This is a rematch from the first game of the day, where we saw Nalgadon and Zamos competing with the exact same lineups. And not surprisingly enough, the exact same bans. We've seen Nalgadon banning the Shadowrock Shaman from Zamos, and Zamos in turn banning once again Nalgadon's Quest Rogue. So how are you feeling about Nalgadon's chances versus Zamos' lineup?
I think what it's going to come down to is basically, I'm just going to need to check to be sure so I'm not flubbing up my words too much. If I'm not mistaken, it may, let me see.
Well, gathering your stats, we can just...
Yeah. It looks like the thing that's going to determine it is whether or not the Even Lock is going to be able to take a win. So decks like Taunt Druid and Death Rat Hunter, they have their like spots where they can take wins, particularly against the Druid. Like Malagos Druid has historically not had the greatest matchup, in my opinion at least, against Death Rat Hunter, and Taunt Druid is very good against other Druid decks, but like, yeah, I love this. Even Warlock has the potential against Malagos Druid to just get blown out if they draw the neutralizers in time. It sort of depends really on if the what's it called? Like if the Mountain Jets stick. That's going to be the most important part of that specific matchup and could define the series as a whole. The other thing I think that might decide it is whether or not the Cube Block can get a consistent enough opener. That deck has historically proven, especially after the recent balance changes with Possessed Lackey and Dark Pact, to be less consistent than before.
Yeah, and it seems as though the Q Block is going to have some issues versus the Even Warlock and the Malagos Druid. I'm sorry, I got my decks mixed up. But it does seem like the Q Block will at the very least have a difficult time versus the Even Warlock. But as for the Deathstalker Hunter and the Taunt Druid, I mean, what's really nice about playing the Q Block versus the Taunt Druid is Taunt Druid does not have any silences. So you could abuse that as a Q Block player and just deny any opportunity for your Taunt Druid opponent to remove your Cube Doom Guards, and you just go nuts with the Spirit Singer Umbra. At least like back when that used to be more of a thing. And we do see Zamos bringing that with him as well. So I hope to see some pretty awesome shenanigans from the Q Block. This is more as a Q Block fan than anything else. Like I'm personally pulling for Nalgadon to, get his vengeance versus Zamos, and hopefully in another tight series. But it is worth noting that Zamos is, also a very strong contender in this series. He played really well versus Nalgadon in the first series, and as you're mentioning, the last tournament, in the last match, Zamos is coming in with a rank 1 legend finish with Malagos Druid.
Yeah, it's like I said, Orange has publicly stated that he is one of the best Malagos Druid players on the planet, and he's definitely proven it. And, well, he brought the deck again, and it looks like it's going to work out for him. He also brought the Priest, the Mind Blast Priest that we were discussing in the last matchup.
Once again.
Phenom brought, and that had middling success compared to the other decks in his lineup against Nalgadon, so that could also be another exploitable weakness, sort of like how the Even Lock might be his downfall. Just gotta wait and see, really.
Yeah, very possible. Well, I'm excited to see more pre-shenanigans from Zamos' end, personally. Like, I think anyone bringing a deck this fresh in the tournament meta to, a tournament with such a prestigious competitive pool of players and bringing something like this, Priest, like I'd be too surprised to see this be the opening for Zamos versus Nalgadon, personally. But I just want to see some Zero Cloning Gallery nonsense.
Yeah, Lyra the Sunshard is also a card in this deck that can cause shenanigans. I think that these players are also potentially using the Phoenix Cup as a staging ground to test for DreamHack Atlanta, which is coming up sometime this month, I believe. If not this month, then soon.
Yeah, it'll be November around the 18th, I believe.
Okay, so sometime next month. So obviously with WSG like wrapping up soon for the Americas region, that'll be the next big event. And obviously, if you can get this pre-stack perfected, and you know the matchups and people don't really know how to play against it, you can definitely cause some very interesting
We have
wins.
turned our
Yeah.
thirst into
Winning the
our
hearts and
strength.
minds of children and adults watching a children's card game.
That is
I'm very excited. Well, we're seeing the Even Warlock once again performing, as strong a mulligan as Nagwadon, or as the Even Warlock could anticipate, and still not finding a Mountain Giant or Twilight Drake in their opening hand.
The irony is that Zamos actually has the Mountain Giant in his hand playing second, but he has to wait until turn 4 to play it, which most certainly will not be the case for Nagwadon. We do see the Sacrificial Pact in his hand. That will definitely prove to be valuable in a matchup where Void Lord and Dude Guard are extremely prevalent.
It's going to be so good versus the Void Lord in particular. That abuse of the full hand from Nagwadon. You'd snap a Spellbreaker for a minion, wouldn't you? Or do you value against the cubes that much?
That's actually a really good question. It depends on how much Nalgain thinks that Zambos will protect the cubes. Like, it could be possible that all that Zambos will do is he'll just go, okay, cube Dark Pact immediately, so that the cubes don't have the time to get silenced. At the same time, because the Skulking Ghost is in Nalgain's hand, he plays it on 6 and Dark Pact gets removed from the game. And as a
Pretty
result,
much.
there's no way that you can kill the cubes immediately, which therefore makes Spellbreaker more valuable. And as a result, that is why he did not silence the Doomsayer and instead sacrificed the Reaver to be revived with Blood Reaver and later on in the game. That was a long sentence.
Oh, it was an excellent and thoughtful line. Like, I would have just snapped Spellbreaker and said, I'm playing Even Warlock. I want a board. I'll play Spellbreaker. But being able to seal as much of this game as possible from Zamos, even with the tech that Nagwadon was able to muster of his opening hand. Like, no more Dark Pacts from the Skulking Guys, as you said. No Skull of Minari with the Swamp Ooze from Nagwadon's hand either. Like, now he's just pretty much, as you were saying before, making sure he has as many outs as possible with the Spellbreakers to deny any overt value play Zamos could piece together that Nagwadon can't counter his own deck.
Indeed. And fortunately for Nagain, he was able to find the Volga Homunculus, which means that this Mountain Giant will not be able to crash into his face 2 turns in a row, which would obviously be extremely devastating. But you see a second Mountain Giant picked up right off the top for Zamos, so the pressure is not over yet. It is going to continue. And there's also the part where, because the Skull of the Minari was played on turn 5, it meant that Nalgain could have played Skulking Ghost. So we do see now the Dark Pact is picked up. So now Zamos could possibly go hit with Mountain Giant, keep Mountain Giant, Dark Pact on the cube, get 2 8/8s on the board, and 2/4 is gone. And
Yeah.
1 8/8 was bad enough. 2 might be the end of the line.
It could be. I wouldn't be surprised to see Nagwadon hurl both the 4/4 and the 3/2. Like, Zamos knows that Nagwadon has Skulking Geist in his deck. So you could theoretically put Nagwadon into position where playing Skulking Geist would just be, oh
Yeah,
my god.
looks like he's gonna go for it. I like this. Though
That's
this
just
does,
hurtful.
yeah, this does make Dread Infernal a really good card for Nalgain though, because as you rightly said, the 4/4 and 3/2 wouldn't exactly be great to crash into. They wouldn't kill a full health Mountain Giant. However, with Dread Infernal, the math is correct. It would put that Mountain Giant from 1 to 0, and it would die along with that Librarian. The next turn, the Hellfire would just come out and completely deal with the Mountain Giant like it never existed at all.
And despite all this pressure that Zamos is putting on, it feels like Nalgudon, if given a few more turns, might be able to piece something together here. It's
absolutely.
looking pretty close. That Ziliax in the combos in the Q block is very interesting, though.
You see a second Mount Giant come down, and I don't think there's a way that Nalgudon can come back from this.
Yeah, Nalgudon needed a Spell Stone in his hand for his Hellfire to crawl him back into this game, but that just ended up not being the case, unfortunately. Like, even with Lich King coming down, that just isn't good enough.
Well, it is. He has to sack back the Dread Inferno, and that's the only way he survives here.
Well, you survive, but you're
not winning, but
Yeah.
it's a way.
Like, it's just hurtful, man.
Okay,
the
so
portion of
he does that like he goes Lich King, sack pack from his own guy, and then he gets Doom Packed. And then he can clear both Mountain Giants. He's gonna go for it. Let's see if he gets it.
The only line. Like,
I don't
you hear it often.
and neither did Nalgudon.
Regrettable.
Death and Decay is not what he needed at all.
I mean, you hear that often from a lot of streamers around Twitch playing Hearthstone. Like, if you're not, like, how do you win if you're just trying to survive? I mean, in this instance, it was all Nalgudon could do. The only line he had was to survive. Otherwise, you just die. But that's the level of analysis I contribute to this tournament, Paradox.
Possibilities.
You either you win or
You're
you
a host
die.
for a reason, right? And speaking of analytical turns, how do you like cube Taldaram on a giant here?
Oh man, that's so spicy. I mean, you still.
Well, apparently Zamos doesn't like it, so ignore
No,
me.
not terribly. I mean, you would have had one less damage, and would force Nalgudon to a position where the Spellbreakers would have to do something pretty incredible. But in and of themselves, being at such a low health total, silencing isn't enough. Regrettable.
No, because it's like, hey, here's a mountain giant, have fun. I don't know. Okay, so how does he survive this? Oh, that's really
Don't
hard
think
to-
you do. Like, there's no taunt capacity in the deck. And if you
Oh,
tap,
wait,
you got full
I
hand.
got it. I
got
know
it?
how he survives.
how do you survive
He
this?
plays Demonic Project, and he gets Lakari Fellhound and a 4-mana 3/8 demon. And then he Death and Decays, and hopes that Zamos has no demons in his deck.
Oh my god, you're right. That's incredible.
I'm not right, because there are 3 demons in his deck, but it
Well, I
was
mean, like, it would have been out Nalgudon could have had if Zamos had all 3 in his hand.
yeah. But he does not. We do see the Doom God, and
Well,
the
I'm
most
thoroughly
people-
impressed with Fog Vision.
Yeah.
That's pretty incredible. Well, that's going to push out that first game, getting Zamos at a pretty comfortable lead with his Q block out of the way. So what do you anticipate Zamos queuing up with next?
That is a good question. Oh,
Like, it's either going to be the Druid or the Priest, right?
Let's say, like, probably the worst thing in his lineup is the Malagos Druid. Like, ironically as it is his best, like the deck he's best at. I imagine that he may save the Priest for last just because like he's played that the least, so he'll want to make sure it's out of the way. But we'll see what he queues up next.
Yeah, Nalgudon anticipated Zamos queuing up, like as you were saying before, that potentially weak deck that Zamos has versus Nalgudon's lineup. So Nalgudon anticipated this and queued up the best possible matchup for him, this being Baton Druid.
And also draws the best possible card on turn 2, as every Druid player should.
Yeah, there's those back-to-back wild growths. And that Oaken Summon looks so good for Nalgudon. Like, you're so impressed by the opening lines that Nalgudon had in his last series versus Phenom. I have to wonder if it's going to be good enough versus the Malgus Druid in this case.
Well,
Like, could you theoretically win just by naturalizing the big threats and having a big board?
I believe.
how much-
Okay, so I'm just needing to confirm this. That he does play Dreampelt Forest in this deck. Can I take a look?
Yeah, because like the main
That's
difference between
a lot about the matchup, and he does.
so dangerous.
Okay,
the main
so-
difference between Nalgudon and Zamos is that Zamos has the Death Knight.
Yeah. It's not only that, is that he has the Florist, so eventually what can happen is that, so Zemos will set him to 50 with Alex Strasser, Then after that, you can use 3 Flawless to put Malagos down to 2 mana. So then he can go Malagos for 2 mana, flip in this flute to copy Malagos, swipe, which then does 14 damage, and then 2 Moonfires that each do 11 damage. So it's a 36 damage combo. So the only way that Nalgone would be able to escape that is if he has 22 armor and 15 HP. As well as being able to deal with the threats as they come, like do you see Alex Strasser?
But while you were crunching those numbers, did you see Zamos play Nourish into Wild Growth?
Yeah, that was pretty good, wasn't it?
Not bad. That's some pro level Hearthstone right there from Kyoto Esports and Zamos.
Yeah, that's why they picked him up, right? But like, yeah, you can draw Wild Growth on 2. You're on the team. Let's go.
Well, it's a pretty stacked lineup of players. Like even Steelgen was from Kyoto Esports as well. Was recently ranked in Inven Global's top 10 players in Hearthstone right now.
Indeed. I know Lorinda, a famous UK Hearthstone caster, also said that Sehagen is a really good player. He's part of the Sensei Bot Hearthstone group, which I'm also a part of. Like, guy knows his stuff, and obviously it rubbed off on Zemos as well.
Yeah, with practice partners like that, how can you lose? Like, I can just see Steelgen sitting Zemos down, like, alright, you just got a Wild Growth into Nourish Wild Growth into Alex Straza. And
I think he forgot the part though. He forgot the part where you draw the Ion Tennis. That's kind of important.
That's right.
Because we do see that Zamos is running out of cards.
Oh, you don't need cards when you have Frostmourne in hand. Look at that. Like any value minion that Nalgone slams down, Zamos just going to steal it.
Though it is going to cost him quite a bit of life. And speaking of life total, 8 armor has just gone away. And I was just talking earlier about how important the armor is against this massive burst that Zamos can pull off if the game goes on and nothing. Mordred isn't exactly a fast deck, so...
No, not terribly. And not terribly bursty either, unless you're able to achieve a full board. But Zamos can easily block a branching past Black Blood Lethal from Nalgone, Striking Plague. Which isn't aggressive enough as a response to a Conjure, but Zamos has some lines, and just committing the 5 damage to Nalgone's face.
Yeah, Zamos acknowledges that he's just going to win through the Malagos burst, so he just wants all of his armor gone. He just wants to kill him. And with double swipe, he might actually be able to do it. As crazy as it sounds, it might actually happen.
Yeah, you could spell some Lich King, double swipe phase, and commit the Frostmourne. That's 13 damage.
You're thinking of stealing it, though, aren't you?
You are thinking about stealing it. Like, double Lich King should pretty much do it. But I just want to point out how close Zamos is to closing out this game. Like, this is some masterclass. This is like a masterclass lesson in Malagos Druid right now. Like, would you go for the steal over damage?
Well, okay, so if you hero power, you upgrade Spellstone. So you use Spellstone Wrath to kill off the Lich King. You hit Frostmourne in the face for 6, so Nalgone would be down to 8 HP. And then, Frostmourne for 6, you have double swipe for 4 each. In fact, just putting him down to 8 would be lethal on the following
he does.
Yeah.
It's so close. He does both.
He's
we're talking about this being an option, right? Between one or the other. But he's like, I'm going to do both. I'm going to swipe his face and take his Lich King.
Though this does mean that he can't kill him next turn if the hero power from Nalgone is played, but Hadronauts Naturalize is going to put a bit of a stopper in any aggressive plans for that Frostmourne hitting the face, but like you said, 2 Lich Kings being taken with one Frostmourne, man, Arthur's would be proud.
You'd be so proud. That Witching Hour Q follow-up is going to be especially devastating for Zamos, but being able to play 2 Lich Kings for only 1 mana of commitment. 2 Lich Kings and 9 mana to do whatever else you need to do. And his hand's just too full though. Double Striking Plagues, it's just too chunky to be able to commit any more mana to draw. Zamos might literally just go for the mana on Nourish just to get out the card from his hand. So he can draw.
So he currently has how much in hand? So I'm just trying to check. He has 8 cards in hand. So he can actually use Nourish to draw 3 here. But it looks like you are right. He's just gonna get like cards out of his hand fully on the infestation. And he is rather close to his combo, in fairness.
Very close.
Double Moonfire is lethal pretty much whenever he wants at this point. It's just a matter
There's also
of taking
World.
cards.
There's also World of Zamos with the double damage, right? Lifesteal and not
Correct.
quite.
Doom Pack's actually really solid here. Just gives him another way to stall for some time.
Yeah, the risk of losing Amalgos most likely. Like if it's just there's too many minions. These beetles are not doing a whole lot of favor for Zamos right now. Aside from like giving him a few more turns. I was thinking like the Doom Pact in the more immediate scenario where, yeah, we're not going to rules both the Lich Kings, and Zamos is feeling some commitment to remove both. He could trade both his Lich Kings. I don't know, what kind of life are you living if you're not going for more Death Knight cards?
Well, a life where you might be winning $500 at least. That
Yeah.
sounds like a good life to lead.
Yeah, you could win $500, or you can live the Lich King dream and just keep rolling Death Knight card to Death Knight card.
But say at this
$500.
rate, it looks like Zamos might be doing both. We do see Naturalize that will kill one of the Lich Kings,
Yeah.
and
Zamos never connects with minions again, it seems like.
I wonder if you're branching cards, you get attack, so then your Scarabs are 3/5s, and then like, so they're 3/5, so they can trade into the Ironwood Golems. So you can go Naturalize, branching paths, like put your Scarabs to 3 attack, and then swipe, maybe. I'm not sure. Okay.
That's what Xanatos found out.
Yeah, it looks like he's
Medium
found a slightly smarter line than I have. Yeah, he's just gonna use. Yeah, I like this actually. He's gonna use 2 of his Scarabs to get rid of the Lich King. So that
again,
way,
like-
none of his Lich Kings die on board. Yeah, that's actually really
Xanatos
smart.
telling us once again, why do I have to pick between Lich Kings and winning? Why can't I do both?
Yeah, pretty much.
Second Frostborn and the Death Coil. So that's
Do you see
pretty.
Death Grip
You
picked
have to be
up
feeling
well, now
so
Guy, like
pressured
you
as
said.
Nogvidon. Yeah, you have to feel so pressured as Nogvidon from this position.
Oh,
Like,
is
the
he
amount
gonna
of
take
rolls.
Malagos? Is he gonna
This
take
is
it?
going to be the roll right here.
See if
Oh,
he gets
man.
it.
I mean, even if you taste Amalgos, you're not in a very bad position. As
He's not
is.
the great one either.
Oh,
Dream
that's
Petal
right.
Florist.
Dream Petal Florist. That, well, the good news is Zamos still has through the roll tree, but not without losing too much health over those 4 turns that you need to commit the Death Rattle and get that combo off.
You also have to take damage when you swing the Twig of the World Tree into enemy minions, so I very much doubt that
that's
Zamos
possible.
will commit to the investment of Twig. I think he'd rather just like Ultimate Infestation, Frostmourne, etc.
Yeah, definitely.
Losing the Florist does mean that now, in order to do the burst, it's going to require multiple turns if he wants to use Swipe as part of his burst
Well,
plan.
do you know what's
But
special?
I'm
Do you know
wrong
what's
actually, because
devastating?
he's already used
Nogvidon-
to them. Yeah.
Wait, do you know what's devastating here? Nogvidon has no armor for his Iron Barks. He can't remove all this.
You are
That-
absolutely right.
It's so devastating. Like, Zamos will, once again, get more Lich King cards, but so will Nogvidon! He's gonna get 2 more cards!
Does he land the Naturalize? It looks like, yeah, so you see the draw
No.
one, does he get the Naturalize? He does
He didn't
not
naturalize it.
naturalize. He ran out of time.
Well, would you have naturalized that?
Almost certainly, because it kills the Lich King for free.
Yeah.
Guess that
for
was a
sure.
free Death Knight card.
I'm trying to think from Nogvidon's perspective, what reason you might keep a naturalized for. But yeah, it just seems like you're right. You just ran out of time,
Yeah.
giving
I mean,
Zamos
honestly,
another chance to pull more damage.
Yeah. So we do see the Death Coil in Zamos' hands, so he does have 5 damage, but still needs to get to Malagos and at least 1 Moonfire in order to seal off this game. And we do not see any way of giving Nalgai armor, so it's literally just on Zemos to find the damage. If he doesn't find the damage, he just loses. But that's just the truth.
Pretty much. Nogvidon still hasn't found a branching path yet, hasn't he?
And he won't be finding one next turn immediately off the top because he has a 10 cards in hand. He will be discarding a card at the start of his next turn.
Oh man, if it is branching path, you'd hate to see that as Nogvidon found.
Oh, you absolutely would.
What a tough turn here. Like I wasn't even sure what line you could consider playing as Zamos, but it just seems like he's gonna try to stall him for even longer. anticipating the clutchest top deck of Lich King. Try to get that other death core out.
Yeah, he just wants to find the damage,
Yeah.
and like obviously, like having the spreading
My
play
hand
tokens
is
like
too
this
full.
protecting board is very important. But we
You
do
called
see
it,
the
dude.
crouching parts
You called
loss.
it. Oh my god. Well, those Iron Bars just gonna be sitting dead in that board now. Oh, that's just hurtful, man.
Just taking up space. But the Lich King is finally going to fall. It took long enough, but ding dong, the king is dead, and
Long
I guess
live
someone's walking away with red heels. Not me though, but someone
Rip.
is.
The king is dead. Long live the king.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Long,
had a good
long
run.
live, long live the Lich Kings. There's two of them.
Man, like, who needs win conditions in this deck, right? You just play Lich King, get multiple copies of it, and just pull Death Knight cards. It's all you have to
That's
do.
what Tundra does. It just puts a big board of idiots in the way and says, "Hey, I've got a big board of idiots, and my big board of idiots punch you in the face and you die."
Speaking of punching the face, it doesn't seem like Nalgidon is as adept as pulling the right Death Knight cards as Zamos has been. He still has that Frostmourne and that Death Claw just sitting in hand, whereas Nalgidon's just pulling some of the worst cards you can get from the Lich King as a Taunt Druid.
You say that, but there's still no Malagos. So Death, like Doompact can't be played. Because if it's played, it'll destroy 9 cards. It'll actually do worse than that, because it'll actually play Hadronauts as well. Because then summons a new board.
Yeah.
This is just a mess.
Yeah, I'm not even sure what to think about this game anymore. Like, I'm just kind of doing play-by-play and relying on more incredible insights from you to keep this cast going, because this is...
I'm just waiting for the moment where Zamos accepts defeat. I'm not sure how he gets there. Like, yeah, he's like, yep, I need to UI. I need to get Malagos. If he doesn't get Malagos, he's not winning this game. That's just the truth.
My
Oh, for this flip. Oh, he's going to draw some cards. So, at this point, there are 5 cards in Zamos' deck. One of them is a Malagos. 2 of them are Moonfires. If he overdraws any of those, it could just be over. What can he do?
Not a whole lot, it seems like. That Death Knight burn from Zamos was especially bad, because like even if you don't find the Malagos for this next turn, you could still have played the Death Knight. Gotten you 2 1/5s. You would have gotten up by 8 armor potentially, if you opted to hero power for the armor. And you could have taken one hit. Is he doing it? Is he making the read?
What's he doing? Oh, is he
might
going
think
to
about playing the Naturalize to burn more cards. Like that's not
that-
7
Dude,
versus
you're
Zamos
destroying
5.
3
He can
out
win
of
from
5
fatigue.
opponent's deck. I like it.
He can win from fatigue.
time waits
Oh,
for
this
no
is
one.
devastating. Like
I
Zamos,
like this play.
Zamos has to bottom deck Malagos. For
You can naturalize the 5/5 and then play Primordial Drake and punch him in the face. I actually like this a lot. From,
That's it's a good spot.
it looks like he disagrees. Moonfire withdrawn. Moonfire withdrawn.
That's so hurtful.
Okay, now for the trifecta. Let's go to Malagos too, and then the game is literally over. We can move on from this fiesta and get to the next matchup. Let's see what happens.
There we
Is the
go.
Malagos gonna fall?
Is too full.
That is not the Malagos, but with double Moonfire gone,
This is
it's
just
over.
yeah. I don't think there's any. I'm looking at his hand right now. It has all these Death Knight cards, including the Death Grip. I don't think there's anything Nalgidon could. I don't think there's anything Zamos could pull from that Death Grip to bring him back, which
What
could possibly be a Primordial Drake, but I've already seen both played, and all Nalgidon has to do is armor up once, and he has 9 damage.
I'm almost out of cards.
Malagos was the last card.
Bottom decking it like a boss. Well, that Spellstone is going to come down to Lich King for sure, giving him 6 mana to do what?
Oh, this is so devastating for Zamos, because if he do Malagos here, he could kill a Patronox and then play Doompact, and he wouldn't care about that card, because he knows he doesn't win a fatigue. So he would completely clear
Yeah,
the
you're right.
card. Like, the cube would spawn like 2 Patronoxes, I believe. Yeah. It wouldn't summon like this nonsense again. That he would have to do
Oh, man.
twice. But it looks
Yeah,
like he's gonna have to
you're-
go for it. He's going for that Doompact.
You're very correct. I was saying bottom deck as in like the last two, but like the fact that Zamos lost
Yeah,
that potential
I was
50.
gonna say, the fact that it's the very last card is so devastating.
That's just hurtful. Now Nalgadon can just Doom Pact and call it a day.
Pretty much.
Well, after hitting for 6 damage, of course.
I don't think he needs to do that either though. He could just play like Primordial Drake and just hero power. At this point, I don't see any way that Zamos gets all of his burst is gone. But it looks like he's just gonna go with your idea and just Doom Pact.
Yeah, because Zamos, there's no taunt. Zamos has 10 damage in hand from the Frostmourne and Death Coil. And then Zamos could just slam the Ultimate Station for the remaining 5 damage and tie the game.
Would kill him in fatigue though.
What to do?
Well, I mean, wouldn't that tie the game? If you Ultimate Station for lethal damage while taking lethal fatigue.
It would, yes. But
Bring
I
us to
don't know
another
if
game.
that's realistic. I don't know.
Yeah.
Like Primordial Drake Sleepy Dragon just means that you're not destroying cards from your deck. So
Well, the
you're
difference
not
is
putting
that
yourself in
the difference is that Nalgadon just have. Sorry, I don't mean to interrupt, but like the difference is that Nalgadon have one taunt minion that's actually punched with that naturalized. Oh, but he has Sleep
But,
Dragon.
but yeah, that's what I mean, right? Because the Sleepy the two because of the Dream Belt Forest.
Yeah, I got ahead of myself. I saw the storylines, man. I just wanted to see some nonsense. I don't see an Obliterate in Zamos' hand either.
Yeah.
How
Instead of
unfortunate.
just seeing big dragons come down and be like, no, move on, next game.
Man, to think that it took all these Death Knight cards between both Zamos and Nalgadon to pretty much determine the game outright. Like, think about how I think of how much better this would have been for Zamos if he had happened to have, at least one more Death Coil. That could have wrapped up the game by itself, or an Obliterate,
Or Death and Decay. I mean, you can say the same thing
Or
for
Death and Decay,
Biden as well, right? Like, he's got double Doom Pact, double Army of the Dead in hand. These cards are terrible in Fatigue, which is what the game is basically boiled down to, so
pretty
can't
much.
really say anything. Literally just had a bad day, just didn't want to give people what they wanted.
Time waits for no one.
Yeah, you have to consider how incredible this match was still. Like, Zamos saw every out, like, taking every line he could to get the most amount of value from the cards he was able to develop from hand. And, wait, what?
Yeah. It's just unfortunate that there wasn't enough, like, Malagos being the last card pretty much seals, like, any game. It's sort of like how, like, Shuttlewalk being the last card in Shuttlewalk Shaman, for example, can be so devastating. It's the same thing in Malagos Druid. But, hey, your cards are shuffled and put in your deck in a random order that you can't control, so can't really complain too much when it doesn't work out for you. And now Gaiden will tie up the series 1-1.
Yeah. I had to take a moment to consider what Zamos was trying to accomplish with that line. Like, it stung me a little bit. But I saw it from a point where Zamos was attempting to hit before one of the weapons, the naturalized 412, and opened himself up to, I don't know, like, to put himself in a position where Nalgadon had no more taunt minions, and he would have been able to swing with both the Frostmourne and Death Coil without any taunts. I don't know. It's just so
I
close
don't
from
think
Zamos.
Zamos is really caring that much at that point. It's like, yeah, this is over. Just move on, pretty much. He just didn't feel like conceding. I don't know.
Yeah, true.
I'd have to ask the man in person to give my action.
Well, we have to add that to the list of questions we'll have for the winner.
If Zamos wins.
If Zamos wins for sure. Like, otherwise might drop him a DM like, yo, so about that game.
Yeah.
That
Way
clinches
more
out
influence
Nalgadon.
than me, that's for sure.
Definitely. That clinches out Nalgadon's Taunt Druid. So we have the last decks remaining was 1-1 tie between Nalgadon's Warlock and Hunter versus Zamos' Priest and Druid. I'm loving seeing this matchup now. This is so much fun the last time when Nalgadon's playing against Phenom.
Yeah, with I don't wait.
Bring victory.
Is that a Coffin Crasher and Mind Gates?
It is.
Wait. Let me check the list real quick. Oh,
Okay, that is,
apparently production told us that he queued the wrong deck.
Yeah, that's not correct.
Yeah, I don't know why there's a Coffin Crasher in my case here, but no.
Nalgadon concedes out of respect, bringing us to no.
Yeah.
we're gonna give.
It was all a bait. It was all a bait to get the free concede.
Oh, we were so baited though. I had to do a double take on the list. Like, wait a minute, this is definitely Xerax. What?
I didn't even know that a coughing pressure Mind Games Priest was a thing.
My
What?
goodness, we may have just gotten, like, as casters and audience, we may have gotten a chance to see the inner workings of Zamos's creative deck building mind. Like, look at the potential combos you can put together between, you know, the Mind Games and the Coughing Crasher. I'm trying to pretend it's something serious, but until
I mean, if your Mind Games on 4 against Etherlock, you get management. It's like the same thing as playing like any kind of Warlock, right? It's a 4-mana hit.
just play your own giant, call it good.
Yeah. Or you get Lich King. Yeah, 4-mana Lich King. And then you Eternal Servitude and bring it back on curve. Got them.
That's just hurtful. That's just like that's Barnes level of triggering right there.
Yeah, exactly.
4-mana
It's
Lich King.
amazing.
Yeah. Well, Nagidon is able to get his egg in both his cubes, so as long as Amos doesn't coin out a Psychic Scream, then there is some pretty strong value options for Nagidon. And pulling the Deathstalker Rexar, which we saw do some incredible work for Nagidon in his last matchup versus Amos. I'm sorry, not Amos, versus Phenom.
Yeah. 5-letter word means the same thing, right? But yeah, you are correct about that. We did see. Oh, we did see Psychic Scream coming out from that Shadow Vision, same as identifying as you have the overwhelming value of the card in this matchup against Necro Hunter.
Now, if you ever drew Radiant Elemental, would you drop Radiant Elemental to risk Flanking Strike so you can coin out the Shadow Essence on turn 4? Is that ever a line you take?
Do you need to do that? I'm not sure you need to do that. I mean, to be fair, Zamos doesn't like have that option to begin with. Radiant Elemental is nowhere to be seen.
Yeah, but like if Zamos
if you had it, I probably wouldn't do it.
But it's one of the few ways you can contest Nagidon's ability to self-proc his egg if you would have both the Play Dead, well there it is, and the 3 trigger it as well. Because then you'd have your own 5/5 that in itself could, get out of the Obsidian statue, proc a minion, or get a valuable Lich King card.
Or you could get like Radiant Elemental or Gilded Gargoyle, and then you just by yourself into a corner. It's a risky play either way.
It just feels like you have to take those. True. Yeah, you could risk Flanking Strike. It just feels like the early game with this priest deck is just so. It's just not that great. It's just so slow. And Nagidon was able to get the Devilsaur Egg into the proc of the 5/5 to get the 5/5 minion.
Do you see another Psychic Scream coming out from the Shadow Vision? So
I would have said maybe the kind of risk he'd have to take in this matchup, but it doesn't seem as though Zamos needed to, despite this overt value play. And trades a 2/3, he's going to take at least 17 more damage.
So he can use Holy Smite along with Gilded Gargoyle, and then both taking 14. I say only that 14 is a tremendous amount. Not even going to do that, and then next turn just go with Psychic Scream, just reset. And like I said in the last series, Hunter doesn't really do well when they're out of cards, but there is a card that remedies that.
Yeah, and we're probably going to see that come down on turn 6, with Nagidon understanding that Zamos has a coin. You wouldn't expect players of this level to forget that. So. This is pretty much a dead turn, because any minion you play, you're not going to see it again, unless you draw into it. And that just, it reduces your ability to make those big swings, where you have, multiple minions in your hand and get the biggest board state you can to pressure this combo priest. It just feels like Deathstalker Rexar is the line. I mean, he's facing everything. I don't see an alternative, yeah. I'm trying to think what line Nagidon sees. Unless he's thinking about what his future turns could look like, because you do have.
Maybe he's considering tracking and going Deathstalker on 7, maybe.
Well, what could you play from this tracking that you wouldn't play a Deathstalker on 6?
Prince Elsa.
Yeah, that would do it. Is trade against Vigor, I guess, and get a second cog in Kelsa. That's ludicrous.
I'm not sure that's optimal, I think I agree with you on the whole Deathstalker on 6 probably be better than... you just go in, it's yep, no armor, go in, please.
See all going to face. There could have been some hyper late game option where Nagwin could have opted to trade against a Gargoyle of his 3-1, get the 14 damage, and then forcing Demos into a position to have Sight Screen Vicalis back into Nagwin's deck. I saw that as a possibility.
I think the Nalgaiden just acknowledges that he doesn't win the late game. Not really, because of like how much damage the combo does if given enough time. So like, you see here, he's not even serious. So it's just like, keep your hand. Go.
Not even playing the value game. He's going to keep bonking with the face.
Yeah,
like this is a lethal with a 4-mana minion. Wow.
There is Shadow Essence, which can pull something like Zilliax.
Or an Obsidian statue.
Completely ruin his
Lich
plans.
King. Yeah. I mean, there's so much that can go wrong. And he has a coin heal too, in case by some miracle Nalgidon. Actually, no, but would end up being the case, unfortunately, because even if Demos pulled into the taunt minion, it happened to be a Lich King at worst. Well, like, I mean, being one of the worst taunt minions you can pull. I mean, Nalgidon just pull the 100 mark and win the game.
Or he could theoretically already have it.
Yeah.
I'm not sure there is an alternative like to Shadow Essence here though.
I wonder.
Because Psychic Scream on one minion just feels horrible. You don't want to do that.
Feels so bad.
But it also feels bad knowing that like if you roll like Radiant Elemental or Gilded Gargoyle, you lose the game as well. So I can understand his apprehension.
What a beautiful line by Nalgidon. Like there's that part of me that sees the that seems with Death Star Rex starting like, oh, I need to play a bunch of minions and force Demos to have to respond. But Nalgidon just wasn't for that. He just forced Demos to a position to have to do the best he can versus this pressure. And now Nalgidon has another 4/4 minion.
He doesn't.
Zamos can't Shadow Vision for a pain for this.
Yeah. But Nalgidon just acknowledged that his role in the matchup is just being the aggressor. He knew that you can't win the long game, realistically. So he's like, no,
hit him in the face very
I'm
hard.
just going to kill him. And it turns out it's going to work pretty well for him. Hang on, just get. Good Gargoyle will not
Shadow
be
Essence
enough.
has been so bad today.
Absolutely. And we will see Nalgidon going 2-1 in the series.
Now that changes everything about how I saw that matchup. I'm saying it as though the Priest were such mainstream, but
Yeah.
like for the Deathstalker Rexstar to be so, not the Deathstalker, I keep calling it that, but this Death Rattle Hunter being able to adopt such an aggressive line, and Nalgidon seeing that, acknowledging his role and taking it, that's what separates these pros from casuals like me.
Yeah.
I love it.
Versus Nemzi.
Let's see.
Let's have some fun.
I must protect
Oh,
the
is that
wild.
right? That's interesting. So we do see the Warlock versus the
We have
Druids.
turned our
And
curse into
this
a
is about as good an opener from Nalgidon as you could ask for, but so like I said at the start of the series, this will be the defining matchup. And it's all going to come down to, well, Naturalize versus Mountain Giant, Twilight Drake sticking, cooldown healing for enough, but Zamos finding the correct answers. It's going to be a game of questions and answers. Like, can the opponent answer the questions that are being presented, pretty much?
Yeah, I feel that. Zamos is just gonna draw some more cards from Grants from the past. Yeah, this matchup doesn't really feel that good for Nalgidon. I mean, I need to view my little chart here to see how this matchup lines up. I mean, what would you say is going to be the favorable matchup here?
I would say the Ethan Warlock, especially the hand as presented by Nalgidon, is the favorite, but it's going to be close. Like, we see how utterly insane Zamos' opener is, like Walker into Rushing Over, into Nourishment Tyrant, into Lich King. Like, this is
turn.
on turn 4, technically, like on
turn
Zamos'
4,
turn.
Well, yeah, for 8 mana on turn 4.
Yeah, exactly. Like, utterly
Tempestorm,
crazy.
the Tempestorm matchups have it that even Warlock is unfavored at 3.5 versus Malagos Druid. And it's looking like that's pretty much the case here. Like, even with the Spellstone and the trade with the 410, This is just hurtful.
Say
Would
that.
you consider
Fuck.
Army of the Dead?
No, I would not, because there's actually not that many minions. Okay, definitely not never, but I wouldn't consider it this turn, no, because there's not that many minions you really want, right? There's what? Malagos and Alexstrasza, that's it. Do you really want to burn 5 cards from the deck just to try to get like an 8/8 on board? One look for time?
Yeah, like while you're so ahead as well, like you're not in such a desperate position where, you know, you must roll into those options. Or
Exactly.
you know, answering questions that are not even being asked. To go with your metaphor.
Pretty much.
Life is over.
Instead, just clear the board to cement your advantage, pretty much.
I'm loving it.
Hey, if he draws a UI next turn, he's going to feel very good about his position right now.
Oh man, like, if Zamos pulls Wolf with the 10 mana on turn 6 effectively, I can't imagine the stress going through Nalgidon being in this position. Like it would effectively put the Smash into a 2/2, but it just feels so bad from Nalgidon to get curved out like that, despite having an optimal opening in his own right.
Yeah, it just shows, like what I said, like if Mountain Giant sticks, like if that Giant stuck, the game would have known. Like there's not even a question about that. It shows how like potentially devastating Evillook can be if certain conditions are met. Like people whiffing on outs can just be the end. Token Druid is similar in that respect, where like, if you're in the Druid Mirror, you play Whispering Whistle before us, and your opponent comes Spreading Plague, it's just done.
Yeah, it would be game. Okay, here's a theoretical question that I want to ask you while you're here. If you're going to be queuing to a Warlock, and you anticipate even Warlock, and if you have a Wild Growth but no Naturalize, would you pitch your whole hand for a Naturalize and respect the Mountain Giant on turn 4 and 3?
I would not, no, because Wild Growth is far too important. Like, I would discard everything but Wild Growth, but having Wild Growth on 2 as a Druid deck is so important in any matchup. Like, we saw this game, like, how good Zamos' curve was, right? Like, he had Lich
Yeah,
King
we've seen
out,
him.
like, so early. Like, that was only possible because he had Wild Growth into Nourish. Like, if he didn't have these cards, a lot of these, like, high mana cost cards would just be sitting in his hand doing nothing. And that is Druid's weakness. When they don't draw the ramp and they have high mana cost creatures, they can just flounder around, and that's not really what you want.
No, not at all. Okay, I see those points. It's like I know what Mountain Giant can do. Like I've been playing I played a ton of Cube games and played a lot of Handlock way back in the day. And it's like, and be able to slam down a Mountain Giant and hit him in the face very hard. Like who needs Mind Blast at that point, you know? But it just feels like, yeah, I mean, it just like the stats are falling along with Zamos' favor. Like these.
It's funny how devastating the 8/1 Alexstrasza is, by the way. Like, look at this. Hogline has to play a Lich King and 8/8 just to stop Alexstrasza from killing him.
True. Zamos could outright just, he could Hero Power with the Moonfire and trade the 4/4, connect 8 to Nalgidon's face.
I think I'd rather just sacrifice Alexstrasza here. Like, 1 Defile and this girl's dead. Like, that's not really something I want to be protecting when it's so easy to kill. If anything, it's a
Yeah.
miracle this Alex is going to be doing so much work, honestly.
But I mean, you're playing, I mean, you could keep your board 4/4, right? But I'm just thinking, like, in the best possible draws Zamos could have, where you have Nalgidon at 6, you have Nalgidon at 8 health. There was a series of draws where you top it at Moonfire, that's just game.
So this way you still put it to 9 health. Is 9 health
Yeah.
that much more than 8?
True.
I don't think it is.
And you lose less health. Okay, I'm seeing it. I'm just like, I see an 8 attack minion. I just have to hit face. Doesn't seem to be the case for Zamos though. He advocated the 4/4, which is definitely respectable. But that 8/1 would have stuck as well in this line and traded effectively versus this Hooked Reaver. But nothing that a Hero Power at 38 health with a 4/4 can't fix.
Yeah, exactly.
I could even just trade the 4/4 to the 7/7, Spraying and Plague, Hero Power, and a couple 1/5s. Or
Or
yes,
just Naturalize Malagos. I like this.
There's connect the damage.
It just
Like,
comes back to what I said earlier about answering and asking questions, you know?
True.
Like, this Malagos is the biggest question. It's like, hey, do you have an answer? Well, if we check Nalgo's list, the answer is very much no. So an unanswered Malagos quickly leads to a concession, pretty much.
True. I'm loving how this line prohibits Nagvidon from playing his Death Knight.
Indeed. Like one swipe or Moonfire and that's just the end of the line.
Yeah, it's forcing Nalgadon to a position where, like, without any hard removal for that Malagos, it's gonna stay. It's gonna stick and give Zamos a draw or two with the Wild Growth to find that last Moonfire swipe, or either swipe actually. Zamos hasn't played one yet.
And the thing is that Nalgadon is still forced to play Shudan just because if he played Boner, he would be dead.
Yeah.
Nothing else in his hand to save him. So this way, at least he gets a tournament, like 2 of them, in fact, to be able to try to do something. But Zamos has a couple of draws to try to find Swipe or Moonfire to end this. So be interested to see if he gets it.
Yeah. Yeah, the Moonfire would end it, wouldn't it? Because like he has both the spell powered Wrath with the Malagos hit into 2-4. They just hear power with the Moonfire and end the game. But it ended up not quite being the case.
He still has one more draw because he can use the Wrath for 5 damage. Sorry, 6 damage in the draw card.
Right.
So he has one more chance to get it, but even if he lives, he can still go face for at least 4 this turn. Which I think is fine, but if he doesn't get it, this could open the door for Nalgadon to seal the series up, but
1
that
damage.
puts him at 1.
Death is eternal.
Well, he's also 1 mana off, because he could have took the roll tree with the hero power and the spells down. But that ended up not being the case.
Yeah, exactly, but he can't do that anymore just because of, like you said, it's not mana roll.
Yeah,
So I think
close.
you have to Spellstone on the. Oh no, he's not going to Spellstone Reaper, he's just going to equip Plague and then.
It's criminal 1. That's... Wow, that's so dangerous. Like, I was considering the Spraying Plague initially, because you could protect from Malagos, and the Hellfire would be enough to trade through and give Zamos a chance. Well, actually, hold on. That's 3, 5, 8, 11. Nah, he's still within 1 damage off from removing the Malagos outright.
So Zemos is used 0 UI and 0 swipe at this point, right? Or
Yeah.
am I missing something?
Well, I haven't seen this one yet, and there's still 1 more Moonfire.
Well, I'm just trying to think. So, oh no, Bugbear got transformed.
Well, that's just rough.
So now Nalgadon has the hero power and Spellstone to put him at 7. So swipe is lethal. Like any time that it's. I'm actually
also-
really surprised that
without-
they considered 5 mana.
Without going for the Demonic Project, there's also another line where Nalgadon could have played the anti-magic shot, had 2 6/6s, then traded one of them into the Malagos, Spellstone just for the health, then hit the other one. You would have had 2 6/2s and been at the same amount of health.
Zamos does find the UI. If he gets double Moonfire, that's just it.
Well, he only has the 1 Moonfire.
Oh, he used one already. Okay. But we do
Yeah,
see
we
double
had Malagos
swipe
come
picked
down.
up, and Shrimbura puts
Wow.
him to 6.
And
Hero
then
puts
the
him
hero
to
power
9.
of 9.
There is no
Wipes
fall.
dead. Yeah.
So he's just dead?
Yeah,
We're
that
gonna be
would
moving on to game 5.
pretty much do it.
My hunger grows.
How close? Like, what was the merit to playing with the Demonic Project there, as opposed to having 2 6/2s on the board?
It's either that, or you just play Burn there, right? You have an 8/4, and then you put stuff to 4 HP. Like, that's the alternative, but yeah. It looks like it is going to be game 5 now. But yeah,
Yeah, very well played. Well done, Nalgadon, for making that as close as it was.
For now.
Oh, absolutely. I'm just trying to think, so.
Well, I mean, I'm saying all that armor, but Nalgadon still had some outs. Like, he was like 1 turn away with, if there was an ultimate station considering, there would have been no other opportunities to draw as much as he did, as Zamos was able to put together that double swipe. And there might have been an opportunity for Nalgadon to piece together enough health that would have denied, it would have not only denied the lethal from Zamos, but he also would have guaranteed to win the fatigue battle. It was just close. Yeah, I felt like it was a closer game than it looked.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, the Evilok versus Malago Street matchup in general is close, but like without Siphon Soul, it is definitely favored for the Malago Street just because of the lack of removal on Evilok's part. Again, like I said I said it a million times, it all depends on if these opening threats from the Evilok player can stick. Druid's lack of hard removal is its weakness, and if that weakness is exploited, then it can end up being very devastating for them.
Well, there's good news and bad news with Zamos. And the good news is he has the Shadow Word Death in his opening hand. The bad news is that's the only Shadow Word Death that Zamos will ever see in this entire game. Because there might have been the option to Shadow Vision for another copy of Death, and that could have addressed a Mountain Giant and a beefed up, bone-mared minion. But there's no longer that option for Zamos. So this one Death, it's going to be at a very critical juncture here where the Mountain Giant's coming down turn 4. And Zamos can just death it. But then, if at any point Nalgadon has another Mountain Giant, then Zamos is pretty much dependent on Psychic Scream. But with both Shadow Visions, it doesn't seem like that's going to be too far out of Zamos' reach.
Does he even need to play Giant on 4? He could just play Twilight Drake and then just bypass the death problem entirely. Drake on 4, tap Drake on 5, Dice on 6, and then you can play like Giant on 7 or something.
Yeah, it does have merit for sure. I'm just thinking like if Zamos, for instance, didn't have Shadow Word Death and Nalgadon put the Mountain Giant down, then that would force Zamos into a position to have to invest a Shadow Vision for a death, as opposed to more damage, which would seal out the game.
And it looks like he's just doing what you're suggesting. He's just asking the question: do you have the Shadow Word Death? If so, it's the only one. So I think this is fine. I just think the Twilight Drake was worth considering.
Yeah, for sure. I agree. There's no silence in Zamos' deck. Like that would have forced Zamos to a position to have to take that 4 damage for over 3 turns until that until the Psychic Scream was invested and found from the Shadow Word Vision.
Mm-hmm.
But that death just changes so much from this matchup. Because there's also that risk that Zamos would have whiffed on the death if there were no death in his hand. And with the amount of spells that this priest deck happens to play, like it's a risk. Like there's not as much a guarantee in getting the pieces you need as you used to with Big Priest. Like back before the rotation, where you just play Shadow Vision and like it just felt like most of the spells you could pull back in the Big Priest lineups had more. It gave you a little more initiative. As opposed to, with this OTK list, like a lot of your spells have to be very passive between Smites and Mind Blasts.
That also comes in part due to how much of the Priest AoE package was rotated out. Like, using cards like Dragonfire Potion, Shadow Word Potion, these cards just gave you so many options for clearing the board, but in turn they also gave Priest some rather impressive tools in certain archetypes, so I'm rather happy they're gone, honestly speaking.
Yeah, imagine another meta with Priest at tier S.
Yeah, with what's it called? Potion of Madness. Yeah, that combo. Speaking of fun combos, actually Shadow Essence was in the actually to get Dice clear for free and even for 5.
I'm not sure about the earlier matches from both Zamos and Phenom, both having brought this Priest deck. This is my first time seeing Shadow Essence pull what I say a good minion. Like you're right. Like I appreciate your points with Guild Gargoyle having value with bringing the coin and allowing the Priest player to put together more big value turns between buffing up the Spellstone and be able to coin out Psychic Scream. But like you anticipate with Shadow Essence putting together something more, something a little more direct. Oh goodness me!
Yeah, we saw the Demonic Project coming down for Nalgadon, just trying to remove possible Prophet Velen and Malagos, anything of value from Zamos' hand. But Zamos had no minions. It's probably one of the worst things that Nalgadon could have expected, because that makes Zerek's Cloning Gallery, if it's found.
It was so good.
Yeah. So I don't know, because I know one of these players doesn't play it. I'm just going to see if that's Zamos, but I'm pretty sure Zamos
not- yeah.
the
Zamos
gallery.
plays there floating gallery.
Just making sure, but I'm pretty sure he plays it.
Well, finally, there's a Malagos from Shadow Essence.
He
So-
does indeed, so yeah, that is definitely problematic.
Yeah.
We do see the Bowman coming down, being able to get rid of that Malagos before any Spirit Lash nonsense comes out. And
True. At long last, we're
also
finally going
a
to see.
lot better.
We're going to finally see Eternal Servitude pull. Like it's pretty much guaranteed, right? We've only, as far as minions go, we've only seen the Ziliax,
And the
Malagos. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like that's pretty much enough. Like, it's more or less guaranteed to be 10 damage. Making Nalgadon
So
really
you can go
nervous, I'm
Eternal
sure.
Servitude, resurrect Malagos, and then go. Oh no!
There's a Thalnos as well. Oh, it's so
And,
unlucky.
and the Gargoyle, yeah. Oh, it's brutal.
Yeah, we-
Because if you
we've
got Malagos, you could go Spirit Lash, deal 6 damage to the board, clear it, and then heal Malagos.
Man, that's so devastating for Zamos. Like that was those some very high odds of this loss.
Yeah.
I mean, that's still a pretty decent Spirit Lash. I mean, you draw a card, right, and then you get more health, and that suggests to Nalgadon they can play another minion, which will just get screamed.
I think you'd rather save Spirit Lash for when you get like Malagos down though, because with the lifesteal you heal. Like if there's even 3 minions, that's 18 health.
Yeah.
So even though he's
minimum.
taking a massive beating now, it's not the end of the world. He can recover from this, especially with Psychic Scream coming out very shortly, I'd imagine. Unless he wants to have another go of trying to get Malagos from what's it called, Eternal Servitude, which I don't think is very likely.
True. I'm digging the respect Nalgadon has for Zamos' card draw. Like that, silencing the Thalnos outright, as opposed to respecting, the possibility of Eternal Servitude putting together a Malagos and Zamos waiting for more Mind Blast. I don't know. It just feels like a very strong line. You just do the best you can with the cards you've got to prevent Zamos from having the answers to your questions. I really dig that metaphor. Like, there's a lot of back and forth in these card games that I really enjoy, and Hearthstone happens to be among the more direct after having watched so much Magic the Gathering. When we see complex decks like this OTK Priest come out, and it just changes up so much of the dynamic that we've seen for the most recent tournament meta. Oh, there we go.
Yeah, we do see that Malagos Spirit Lash combo just fully healing, clearing the board. That is part of why Spirit Lash is in this deck, just to allow
that's
fun stuff
gonna
like
feel
that.
good.
But yeah, like fun elaborate decks like this in Hearthstone definitely should exist. They should be good. It's just making sure they're not too good is the problem, pretty much.
Well, if it wins Zamos for this match, then,
Yeah,
that could be
then
up to
it
debate.
works, pretty much.
I'm betting Nalgadon feels pretty bad not having a Spellstone in his hand.
Or any form of silence for the Malagos.
True.
So Prophet Velen Mind Blast at this point is lethal damage.
Or the second Mind Blast.
Yeah, or the second Mind Blast, that's correct. Zodiacs is most certainly neither of those, unfortunately.
Yeah, this Ziliax won't be good enough. Like, it could hit either of these minions, but then Nalgadon just Hellfires and trades. And forces Zamos to a position to find the Spellstone, and then commit the coins and the Psychic Screams. Like, it almost feels as though Zamos is waiting for that Spellstone before committing those answers.
Yeah, that makes sense. You see the Zodiacs coming down here, and yeah, I like the Malagos going face. He's just using the Zodiacs as a placeholder, just trying to make it so that the Malagos won't be dying this turn.
Yeah,
Just
like,
trying to find that one card that he needs to kill off Nalgadon and win the series.
then preserving it as best he can. Like, why give even minions a theoretical Wind Fury by blocking it for the 3 health when you can just have it sit there and just force a hit?
Yeah.
Why lose 4 health?
Yeah, exactly. It makes no sense. Though there is a way for the Malagos to die here along with Zodiacs. It would just require the use of Hellfire, which
Yeah, for
does
sure.
put him down to at least 16, now 14 HP.
This is, oh man, like, is Zamos, if Zamos gets the Spellstone, that just changes so much.
Or again, Zerek's cloning gallery.
Or
that
Zerek's
card
cloning
is
gallery.
drawn, that would just be the end.
Well, he
If
wouldn't
I'm
clone
not
the
mistaken,
Malagos.
he hasn't
Just have
actually drawn his Malagos yet. Like, these sort of copies. Like,
You're right. He got it from the Shadow Essence. That's right.
Yeah. So Zerek's cloning gallery would summon 2 Radiant Elementals, and Velen, and Hydra, and Malagos, which means that my blast deals 20 damage, and that would just be the end.
Oh, Nalguidon just struggling for his tournament life right now. Like he's playing as best he can with, Bacarzo Zamos slamming him down. It feels like the Death Knight coming down for Nalguidon could change everything if he gets it, but that buffed hooked Reaver.
Yeah.
The fun thing is, the fun thing is, like, if Nalguidon goes wide enough on his board and Zamos has no ability to clear it, then Zamos could scream all his minions back into his deck, and there wouldn't really be much of a fatigue battle.
So, speaking of the whole battle of cards, the real issue with the cloning gallery is drawing these cards. You draw any of the pieces that like that one right there, it will not summon itself from the Zerek's cloning gallery, and as a result of that, your
That's an
burst
unfortunate
becomes
draw.
lesser and lesser over time.
And both Vision's gone. Like, there's no digging for it now.
Yeah.
This is regrettable for Zamos.
No, it's a blessing in disguise too, because, well, okay, there we go. Second screen. For me, the game was back as we
You called?
Of the frozen.
It's awfully not to play the Vulgar Homunculus. Every point of health counts.
As I was saying, this is a blessing in disguise for
There we go.
Xenos, just because, like, Prophet Velen Mind Blast is 10 damage with this. So if he top decks either Mind Blast or Holy Smite, Holy Smite's been struggling. If he top decks Mind Blast, he just wins the game on the spot.
This
It's also possible he can play the Prophet Velen here and just try to resurrect him later with Spellstone, but I don't know
Yeah, that's
how
definitely a
viable that
line.
would be.
But the biggest thing for Zamos is having the Spellstone. Like, now he can, use his coins as he wills. Like, I think he would it anyway. Just to have the option to buff up the Spellstone. I mean, I might even consider playing the Pain there just to go for the buff.
Yeah. I wonder if you play Homunculus and it just immediately second active, just because you have the Spellstone in your hand to upgrade.
Yeah, for a net gain of 3 health.
Yeah, exactly. Ooh, I'm sure it was decent too.
What a match. It's an absolute pleasure casting this match with you, Paradox. This was so fun.
Oh, absolutely. Though it's nowhere near over yet, by the looks of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, like Zerek's cloning gallery.
It's just coming down to the
certainly
line.
be the end.
Yeah.
Do you see the cheat drawn?
There we go.
Yeah, that's decent. If it gets Death and Decay or Death Coil, then it's going to be the next step.
That's
You do see Death Coil picked up, so now Xenos does have 20 damage from his hand. So,
and I'm not seeing any way of putting together 21 health.
well, okay, so if he plays Octopus, he goes down. He sacrifices it, he goes up to 17.
Yeah,
and
it buffs
Spellstone, He
the
goes up to 17. He goes up to 22. So he would actually
wow.
yeah,
Yeah, I ignored. Wait, he plays it right? He goes for it. He has to.
No, he doesn't have
He's
to,
play-
because he doesn't know. He doesn't know that Death Coil was off the list, right?
Yeah,
That's-
but he knew he had
Like,
two
it's a
points.
1 in 8. Like, I don't think it's right just for him to accept that. Just
Yeah, but
because
it felt as though Nalguidon were respecting it this whole time.
I think he was respecting like the 10 damage burst. But I don't think he can respect it.
Well, I mean, like, he played the Sun's Protector over the Vulgar Homunculus in that line.
Probably
you have to
because
play-
he wanted to be aggressive. Like that's why I think he did it that way.
He could have been as aggressive with the 2-4 as opposed to a 2-3. I don't
Well, he
know.
did want to take
Anyway,
damage as well. Yeah.
yeah.
Well.
Looks like that's the
There
end
we
of the
go.
game. Yeah, Zamos qualifies for the top 8 and joins Phenom. That was an incredible match.
Absolutely. Get to see the power of that new Mind Blast Combat Priest, and we're probably going to be seeing more of it over the next couple of months as the
I
list
would
is
hope so.
defined and a lot of the core cards are established.
Yeah, I'd love to be able to see more of that. It's just so fun seeing the number of lines they can put together with the OTK Priest. Or as you're calling it, the Resurrect Priest, the Xeris Gallery Priest. Like it's whatever people are calling it. You'll be seeing more of it for sure. We're actually going to be joined by our producer and host Demi in just a second. So what were some of the big takeaways from that match? Like, how do you what does that tell you about Zamos' odds playing in the playoffs? Like, do you anticipate him bringing this Priest again?
I would imagine he'd probably play test it a bit more. I can't say whether he'd bring it or not, but if it gets results, then almost certainly.
I'm assuming there's some opportunity to change up your deck list, but
I would imagine so. I'm not aware of all the details, but I don't see why you would have to play the same list over and over again. That seems a little bit redundant, but I don't know. I'm not the guys running the tournament, so I can't say.
Yeah, likewise. I mean, he is coming on. We can ask the man himself. Like, are we going to be seeing these deck lists in the top 8 from our esteemed playoff contestants?
No, they will have the right and ability to change the deck list for the playoffs. Okay.
Well, I hope that means we get to see more of the OTK Priest. But well played by Nalguidan throughout these last 2 series since we watched him play. Played some very delightful Hearthstone and had put together some incredible outs with, Videfstalker Rexar as featured.
Yeah, it was super amazing, and I am here to talk about the top 8 playoffs and get your sort of impressions of it. And I'm it's not good at multitasking, guys. Just a fun fact as a TO. But here we go. Let's go ahead and talk about the first matchup, which is it's going to be Manny Show versus Kyoto Esports Blitzchung. By the way, every single member of Kyoto Esports has made it to the top 8 playoffs.
Well, that's exciting. It's a very solid showing by Kyoto Esports. With let's see, it's Blitzchung.
Also, we might be seeing some team kills too. That's always a pleasure.
Blitzchung, my mistake. Yeah, we could be. It just seems very likely that we will be seeing at least one member of Kyoto Esports on both sides of the bracket.
Yes, but fortunately they will not face each other right away. That the way it's come out. The next one is going to be Dragon Rider versus Phenom.
Ooh, okay.
Recently, Dragon Rider was picked up by a major esports organization called Broken Alliance.
Exciting stuff. Congratulations.
Yep. So they have made a name for themselves, and they're doing pretty good in the UHL Swiss. And then next up we have Zamos that we just saw versus a new upcoming name from the Swagoi Gaming group called Tom Locke.
Yeah, Tom Locke being the principal Hearthstone player for that organization has some very successful. He has some pretty significant achievements from what I remember from that week. I think he had a total of like $10,000 earned from card games he's played as a former Magic Pro, then transitioned to Hearthstone. Mm-hmm. Someone to watch out for. Someone to watch out for sure.
And he definitely and what was interesting as well is that he came from winner's side of his pool, meaning that I believe the most notable thing was that he 3-0'd Mess in winners.
From Team Royal Blue, yeah.
Yep, so that is unfortunate for Mess, but well done to Tom. And then last but not least, we do have a very good one, which is sort of a little bit of a rematch from HCT's Fall NA playoffs, which is Language Hacker versus Siohun 628.
No, that
is a good one. Yeah.
That's going to be the match to watch. At least from the first first bracket. Yeah.
So do we have any from those 8 players? Do we have any thoughts of who's going to make it super far into the bracket?
Let Gallo go first.
Who are going to be the finals?
Sure. Well, we have some new names that I haven't seen play as much before, but I have been impressed by Dragon Rider's play in her pool from, that was it. It was the first week, wasn't it?
Yes, it was. And
Yeah.
she beat West Diaz and MLG Anakin.
Okay. Yeah, now MLG Anakin had some solid performances from the UHL as well. Like, not by any means like a nobody within like the confines of the contestant pool that we're seeing here from the Unsung Heroes' Phoenix Cup. I would be stunned not to see Steelhyun or Language Hacker in the finals. It's the other side of the bracket that is going to be the real mystery. That'll be the one to watch, as far as like who's going to be able to play against either of those two players. Like, not to rule out anybody in particular. It's just
Right.
By the prestige of the tournaments they've played in, and
Just
their
off
combined experience.
Yeah. It's nothing is impossible. This is just based off of the current stats we have at the moment. And, yeah. So like, I think honestly, Language Hacker Steelhyun in the grand finals wouldn't be a big shocker, but I think it's going to be less of a surprise if they get knocked out in semifinals, because they have to go either against Tomlock, who has years of experience, and then Zamos, who recently just showed a convincing win and actually pulled, like, I wouldn't say necessarily an upset, but something where it's now Gudan has made it to the summer playoffs, while Zamos is still working up there and has made it to a couple of the ACT things. So, it would be interesting to see Zamos sort of either go up against Language Hacker or Steelhyun as well.
That's the thought. It's single elimination, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
But if Steelhyun and Language Hacker were the first match, but like it can only be.
They can't be in the grand finals.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're first against each other.
Okay. Like the other half of the brackets. The other half of the bracket is a complete mystery to me. I couldn't call it if I had to. I'd say Blitzchung just by, as I said before.
He made Blitzchung is a favorite.
Playoffs.
Yeah, for Hong Kong, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, like he's solid.
100%.
And also, I think recently he made it to the playoffs in ACT Singapore this coming weekend.
Oh, did he?
I know. I know. At the very least, he made top 16.
Yeah, that top
sure.
16 was so stacked.
I know, right?
Almost all of them lately, aren't they?
I know. Every single player is amazing, and we're all winners.
Well, speaking of amazing players, Paradox, who do you think are going to be who do you think we should be watching out for in these upcoming top 8s in 2 weeks from now?
I mean, same to say who would be cheating. I've already said Blitzchung.
Everyone.
I don't think everyone, because the problem is that I'm European, so I don't know the American scene all that well, so I'm basically just going off of hearsay, but I think Zamos is like a really solid player. I think that he'll do very well as well. Like, it's hard to say until today, right? Like, I walked into ESL last month of the opinion that, I feed into basically the best player in the UK, and I won in the most unfavorable matchup that I could have possibly faced. So it's Hearthstone, man. Anything can happen.
It's
very true.
Yeah, but I mean, if we're doing a fantasy league, then I would say for grand finals we're going to be. It's a bit of a cop out because it's going to be one of two options. It's going to be either Language Hacker and Steelhyun versus either Phenom or Blitzchung. But I don't think Manny Show or Dragon Rider are.
Out of the race.
Yeah, I don't think they're out of the race. And I think Tomlock and Zemos are going to, I think they have a bit of fight in them. I think they're going to be putting together an awesome series of matches.
If I had to call the grand final now, I'd probably put it as a Steelhyun versus Zamos, but just me. If I'm right, though, I won't pick me.
Well, Zamos is on the same side of the bracket as Steelhyun.
Oh, is he now? Okay. Who's
yeah.
doing on the other side bracket?
So the first part of the bracket.
I don't know. I haven't seen the bracket yet.
So the first part of the bracket, the first half is Manny Show versus Blitzchung and Dragon Rider versus Phenom, and then the second half is Zamos versus Tomlock and Language Hacker versus Steelhyun 628.
Okay. I think Phenom versus Steelhyun then. I think that could work as well. I think I said it earlier in the day, but Phenom's had a pretty decent run this year. Like, he made it to Gopher and did pretty well in that, I believe. So I wouldn't count any of these guys out, really. It's a good top 8.
Yeah, it is going to be very fun, and I love that there's going to be new faces going up against some current ones and sort of getting their names up there with the top dogs, if you will. So it will be exciting to see. But thank you so much again for closing out the day, Gallo and Paradox. Always fun to have you guys come cast, and thank you to all our other casters. Thank you to all our players that have entered the pools, willing to come into this invitational, and just willing to be part of everything. Thank you to literally everybody, the audience, people that have given me advice over the times to organize events. Just thank you to everybody. So with that being said, I think we're going to close it out for the day. We're going to let Paradox sleep because God knows they need it. And we're going to see you guys in a couple of weeks. We're going to have the fall playoffs for HCT just happen, and then the following week we will do the playoffs then. So we will see you guys soon.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, pleasure to be here.